welcome to Facehammer episode 100. It's me, Russ the Face, and I'm joined by Byron, the HD Baldfin Ord. I can remember some old school ones now.
Old names, yeah.
Les,
you can't say any of my old school.
I can. Yeah. Les the Nose Martin. Yeah. Is that all right? Can I do that?
Yeah, you can do that one. Yeah.
And Terry
I feel like
Regents. Terry.
Nurgle.
Just Terry, the Regen Save.
Pike.
The Regen Save Pike.
Well, if you're going classic, you could have gone Crutch Weaver.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Terry the Crutch Weaver. There you go. So pink dice pike,
cool greater demons and stuff like that coming out. We might get more excuses for all of those to be revised.
Yeah, so this is our 100th episode. It's actually not. We've actually done more than that, but technically this is episode number 100 from the numbers, so it's fine. And as you could probably see if you're watching this on YouTube, there we've got a load of pictures cycling of us at events and random stuff and us with friends. And the reason for that is in this show we're going to talk about the podcast, reminisce about where we came from and what we've done on our journey. Yeah. And we've got sort of a sort of announcement going forward about what's happening. So because basically we're going to be a change point because Les and Terry are kind of stepping away for different reasons, and we just thought we would let those guys come on and have us all on to talk about why and what's going on, and then obviously like talk about what we've done over the past 6 years with the podcast, and
fun we've had. Some of those pictures are ridiculous.
and then obviously at the end sort of mention about what's going to happen going forward, because Facehammer's not stopping. Yeah. But so I thought we'd just start with that. So I don't know if you want to say, Les, first, what's going on with you?
I'll go first, Les. Yours is bigger news.
It's not really that big. I mean, it's big news, but it's not really.
What's happening, Les?
So obviously was made redundant last year during the height of the pandemic, and a couple of personal circumstances with regards to my father getting quite ill made me realise that I should chase like a dream, almost. Made me realise that life's short and stuff. So I decided to chase a dream, and very fortunately for me, I've been employed by Games Workshop in Nottingham to go and work as an army painter for the Specialist Games Design Studio, which is something that I am like over the moon about. I know, like, I'm trying to like downplay how excited I am because like these boys have heard me like going mental about it for about a week or so.
Just trying to be cool, Les. That's the problem.
I'm trying to be cool, yeah. But yeah, I'm fucking like really, really excited to go and be part of the team. And you know, it's going to be a big lifestyle change for me. It's going to be obviously moving to Nottingham and everything else. Currently, I don't live anywhere near Nottingham. I'm about 100 miles away. So yeah, it's going to be a complete change for me. But with that change means that I have to stop doing the podcast stuff because of, reasons behind sort of like, they're big companies.
Completely stuff. Normal, understandable reasons. Can we still be friends?
No. Yes.
Depends who asks. Right? Is that
the? Finally, you've got that excuse you've always wanted. Like, no, it works as a con. No, I can't touch you.
Yeah, it's in the contract.
I guess like for me, it just makes sense to use this as I'm very fortunate that I've had a bit of time to be able to sort of like get the opportunity to sort of like do this last ever episode and just be like, right, after this one, I won't be on Facehammer anymore, which is bit sad, if I'm being honest. Like we started this a long time ago and we've all worked together, and like me and Russ particularly like recently have been trying to sort of like forge this path with Facehammer with regards to putting out content and stuff like that. And and I'm not going to be part of that journey anymore, which is it's going to be sad, but it's really exciting for me to go and step in to do this new thing.
Dudes for GW.
Yeah, which is going to be amazing. Who would have thought like a 10-year-old Les painting for Games Workshop?
Sick.
Who would have thought? Yeah. I'm really, really, really over the moon about it all, and yeah, it's still going to be around on tournaments and stuff like that. Just not on the podcast anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I think it's really good that you've had the opportunity to go and do that, and I wish you all the best for that, and I'm sure you'll be successful, and it'll be a lot of fun for you. I think it's a good start for you to go up there and have a
it's a nice clean break life kind and of stuff. Like get away from. I mean, it's going to be leaving like the war chiefs behind and stuff like that.
None of them are any nice though, so
I suppose
obviously joking.
Judging by the pictures we got cycling, it just dispels all of that. You're like, none of them are nice. It's all just people having lots of fun and being cool. So.
It's going to be. I'm sure there's going to be loads of challenges for me there, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm just going to like grab the opportunity with both hands, I guess.
Highlighting the days.
I know. So good job. I'm all right at that.
Yeah, you have a lot of fun with that. So, wish you all the best, and awesome. It's I'm sure we'll, as we talk more in this show, we'll talk more about like what Facehammer's done and things like that. But Terry, what about yourself? Obviously, you've not really been around for a while
for most of lockdown, because I've been super busy with work. There's just so much going on work-wise that it just makes sense to, while Les is sort of stepping away, to also just sort of, make a sort of a break, not to like leave. I'm still going to be around at tournaments as, Team Facehammer and stuff, but I just, won't be on the podcasts and, the YouTube or anything. So,
because when people don't know, it's work with Siege, isn't it? You're primarily doing.
So I've been doing, but I've started to do a lot of tutorial stuff for their Patreon, but more recently, the last couple of months, since November, I've been doing tuition. So I've been doing quite a lot of teaching, and trying to schedule teaching around podcasting as well. It's
load of people are fitting it in their non-working hours, aren't they?
It's any time of the day. I've been doing full 9 to 5 1-to-1 day sessions. I've been doing sessions with guys out in America late in the evening. Been doing sessions with some people a new guy in Germany. Like, it's the time zone thing is all over the place, and because a lot of it is during the day when you record as well, it's just awkward to get everything lined up. So it's easier if I have that as my commitment, and then I'm not trying to schedule multiple things at the same time or anything. So but it's more there's a good opportunity at the moment to crack on and make good money and sort my future out. So it seems silly to push that opportunity aside to continue doing podcasts and stuff. Although, I'm not doing any editing and stuff, the big time sink of it, it's still, 3-4 hour shows and stuff is 3-4 hours that I could be teaching as well. So, it is a shame to be going, but at the same time, it's...
You only need 1 hour to cross over for that to be impossible, right? It doesn't matter 30 minutes of that crosses over. And,
with what's going on at the moment, it's plenty there. While this opportunity's here, I just like Les, the opportunity's there. Just got to take it and crack on and do it.
You've always enjoyed teaching as well, haven't you? It's not like
I love
something that you've done a lot, but when
it's
you've
really
spoken
fun
about it,
no, it's rewarding as well, especially seeing some of the progress the people I've been teaching have made.
Some are better than me at bloody line.
Well,
now.
One of the guys, he's been painting 4 or 5 months now, and he's already doing stuff that took me years to get to. So it's obviously all my teaching. It's nothing to do with his ability, obviously, is it? It's all me.
Modest as always.
No, he's obviously got ability and talent, and I'm just trying to help him refine that and push him in a direction where he can use it. But
he wins painting awards. Do you get them because it's all you?
Well, I think I have part ownership, so I have them 6 months of the year, and then he has them 6 months of the year.
Do you get them on weekends?
Yeah, well, it depends.
Is it as long as you don't refer to them as your children, you've got some sort of arrangement where you've got to every other weekend you swap them and stuff. It's a bit weird. Yeah. But I'd say it's
So obviously, Les moving away for work reasons. For me, again, it's just work related. I just need to crack on. And obviously, like earlier on in lockdown, I was just not as infused about the hobby and stuff, which made me not want to record because you can tell when someone's not You know, they're not really feeling it. You know, there was a couple of episodes I was on towards the end, and I didn't say too much in the episodes, but because I was so out of the loop with the books and the gaming and.
Well, you've not really been into the gaming for a long time, have you? Because you kind of
I've been playing
into the painting.
Well, you say that the last tournament we went to, I won, so I must be into the gaming a little bit.
I don't. Doesn't mean you don't know how to use the same army or like how the game works. But if you're not kind of like,
I didn't have the time to read army books and just be involved in list writing and things like that. And then, you know, recently I got infused again, and obviously applied to go to Six Nations after playing some games and stuff on the TTS with Tom, and it got me really infused about gaming again. But I just don't really have time at the moment to game. You know, I'll get practice games in and whatever, but I don't know if the Six Nations is even going ahead now because of.
It's difficult, isn't it, when you don't know what's going on? So
plenty
of us need a deadline to work to, and obviously that's something you do have with painting or you do have with lessons. But like some of the most prolific painters out there, like Tom Maudsley, you've already mentioned him. He's a good example. He needs a deadline and a reason to do something. Yeah. And I've seen him produce probably more armies for himself than anyone in a short period of time.
He painted more in the first 3 months of lockdown than I think anyone's painted in their life.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Was that Zeech army when it was just like ridiculous amount of Zeech models that he started?
I think he painted like 500-600 models in the first couple of months of lockdown. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then there's no events. And
and then obviously
you need that.
He painted one of those for South Coast and it never happened.
It's what I've struggled with, to be honest, like over the lockdown, and that's why I've been speaking a lot to Chewy, and that's why the Realm Hammer paint battle came about, really, was to try and give us a bit more motivation to lock in on some some achievements to get the enthusiasm, because like for me, gaming, as you can probably tell by the pictures, is a massive part of why I do the hobby, and like being able to go to tournaments and events and sort of do armies for match play, particularly during Age of Sigmar. My motivation to paint was high quality tabletops, fast to table, change my list every event, basically, is how I've kind of approached AOS. So like for me, like without events, it's been really hard to like focus on getting anything done.
Yeah,
isn't it? We're so used to it. I've never not had that. I think like when I started, when I wasn't a kid, I started via podcasts about the tournament scene, whether they're in this country or another country. So I don't know until recently what it's like to do this hobby without tournaments being a focal point of that. And obviously the pictures, which are really weird because it's just us hugging people, which has been banned for over a year, it seems.
Yeah, it's going to be weird going back to tournaments, though. Are we going to be allowed to hug at tournaments?
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to going back to events. But yeah, I don't have a load of people this would be the case for, especially like the more mature gamer, people who aren't getting involved via walking into a GW. Like, it's going to be via the internet, which is the part that I've indulged in, is via the tournament scene, via the painting scene, whatever it is, but it is via a scene rather than the complete lack of scene, which is just the last, whatever we're on now, 10, 11 months.
So you got into, obviously, like, you're obviously into the hobby and stuff, but you'd say that your primary focus was just getting in and going to tournaments. Is that what?
That's just the framework that it was put in. You know, like, I listened to podcasts, and I remember, like, when Podhammer first came out, I listened to them on repeat because there was no one else doing podcasts. Yeah. I just wanted more and more and more. Yeah. And I'd been painting for myself. I'd spent a bit of time on forums and stuff like that. It's where me and Russ got in contact. And, the podcasts were people talking about painting armies for events.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird that is not a thing, isn't it? Like, it's like going to school and then taking away the lessons or the teachers or something that fundamental.
Yeah. Because we like, in terms of like, we're sort of diving into the main topic of the show now, which is kind of the Facehammer history, I guess, and it's going to be us talking a lot about us. So
if you want to get out now, if you're looking for competitive analysis, this isn't what this show is going to be about. Just skip it. Yeah.
So like we had I met you on Healing Hammer forums, didn't I, Byron? So we spoke. I think while you were at university, actually, if at Cardiff, if I remember correctly, and we met at a Cardiff event. And I'd been on like Healing Hammer show because I'm a good friend of Dan Healing, and his show came about because of Podhammer, and then I'd been on like Bad Dice and things like that. And there was obviously like the Black Sun as well, was like, a prolific podcast. And when
they're like the big three, weren't they? Like back in the day, the big three, in my opinion. Like
pictures of us or us with the Black Sun guys. It was really nostalgic, actually.
And what's really interesting for me is that, like, obviously we didn't have a podcast. I didn't know Les at that time. I didn't know Terry back when I knew Byron, but we weren't really like close. We used to talk about dipping models in army painted dip shade and stuff like that. Randomness.
I remember giving you a call. You wanted some advice about airbrushes, and I gave you a call, and I got off it, and I was like, fucking hell, he's never going to want to talk to me again. We spoke for like 90 minutes.
No, it was awesome.
And then like 2 months later, it's like, do you want to chat?
Yeah.
Can we be friends?
Yeah. It was a bit, I mean, it's weird how like those interactions, like, we become friends. Like, I think I met Terry through asking for a lift for an event, basically.
Yeah, he put up on Twitter, is anyone driving from Swindon direction to Sheffield Slaughter? It's like, well, I'm an hour away, I can come past. I was already picking up Dan Thomas in Portsmouth, so and then the three of us went up together.
I remember that conversation about wearing a suit to an interview in the back of the car. That was just bizarre. Me and you were just looking at each other like, what is this guy on?
It was quite funny.
We instantly kind of bonded over that and had time. And I don't know if that was the same Sheffield that I met Les, but
yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah, because Terry, you were taking.
I met Les at Bournemouth.
Right.
We chatted we chatted online, haven't we? Because I was at Lightning Strike, and we were DMing on Twitter at that point.
Yeah.
Because
And then I met you at Andy Matthews' event. Down in Bournemouth, a little one day. Yeah. And then we got drawn against each other at the first round of South Coast. That's when we first properly met. And then
and you fucking what's the spell? The
cacophonic choir.
Cacophonic choir.
That was when you were using your pink dice pikes and ash, wasn't it? And it was six dice choir.
Pushed it all forward and went like, right, I'm just going to take you off. And then you went choir, and I couldn't do anything. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Just tabled you with choir. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting Les because like there was all the Cheltenham guys. I think I kind of knew Brian Hatchett and a couple of the other guys sort of from Cheltenham.
I think this was before Brian Hatchett was even part of the War Chiefs. I was there with I went with Sedge, with Graham Radden, who was only on the scene for a little bit. Rob Noyes. I mean, I don't think Brian was on the scene then. I think I can remember meeting Brian maybe after. But
I think I knew of you guys because Leggy used to go to Cheltenham, I believe.
Yeah,
and he was running
Leggy
the
was
event.
the Chief.
And I knew Leggy from ETC and like years.
It was like Johnny the Gaffer, Sedge, like Rob Noyes, like the old school like War Chiefs. Before Kieran and Liam and Pano were all like part of it, and then stepped in and stepped out. I think maybe Pano and Carl Smith were both there at that point, but I didn't really know them. Yeah. I just went up with sort of like with Sedge and.
Well, I knew there was a group of you, and I remember that I was cold and I wanted my hoodie, and you were sort of sat on it, so because I went over the back of the chair, so I just started. I kind of like, can I get my hoodie? And I was like, I better. That's a bit rude. I should probably talk to you a little bit and say like, and then I just started chatting, and then we found out you had like similar musical tastes and things. Like you told me you were in a band as usual and stuff like that. I'm kidding.
I was in a band once,
and I was like, I was in a band too. Everyone was in a band, but. You actually were vaguely successful, but I wasn't. And then sort of chatted about like, just got to know you really. And then, I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? Because we kind of, I think the podcast came about because we all were fans of podcasts and we were on Skype painting a lot and we were...
Yeah, we were just online. We're like, why don't we just record what we're talking about?
Yeah.
People might find it funny.
And I think as well, like a lot of the other podcasts were kind of winding down, or we're having on what I call pod fade. I think is the industry term when people lose interest.
So I think Healing had stopped for the first time because it was just after the Ogre book came out. I can remember listening to Healing Hammer's Ogre book review, and I think Johnson had just left Bad Dice because I can remember and. Then I think I just used to listen to the Black Sun when they used to record it on Chris's phone in the pub before events.
I still remember that show where they're in Wetherspoons and they've just got the thing on the middle of the table. It's just
and like it was Dom and Scott and stuff. Yeah, and like I could just that was my go-to. Like those guys, I think back in the day when I think of it. I think like Bad Dice. Ben Curry will never listen to this, so I feel like I can say it. But like, Bad Dice used to be like my go-to. I used to like really, really like Bad Dice, and then it was sort of like I think
then
the
Johnson left.
Like,
no, I'm kidding.
PG, and then the PG, then the non-PG version, like with the Black Sun, when they were like, I can remember listening to the episode where they were talking about the South Coast and Aaron's like randomly like missus turned up and they caught him in the car with her and stuff like that. I think it was Aaron. I apologise, Aaron, if it's not you.
That's the South Coast that I met the Black Sun guys and Rog. And
that was the Safe Coast before, because that was one that I didn't even know what Safe Coast was then, I think. And then the following year, me and Radden went. That was the first year I was on the tournament scene. It was like the Sheffield, and then I went to South Coast. That was my first
South Coast I went to was my Slanesh army. That was that year.
Yeah.
And Rog from Point, is it Rog and Johnny?
Rog and Johnny from Point Hammered, yeah. So
I ended up in the Black Sun Travel Lodge,
judging a competition about who had the brownest cock.
Who had the stretchiest ball bag and who had the brownest cock. I was like, "Hi, Chris." He's like, "Can you come judge this?" I'm like, "Don't know you, but sure. What's going on?" And he's like, "Can you come do this?" I'm like, "Oh, I should probably leave right now, shouldn't I?"
I still remember that.
Like a picture of you floating around in that actual like room. I'm sure I saw a picture the other day.
Scott had like the stretchiest ball bag.
Because I know that like Johnny used to talk about the cock copter when he had his own Wildwood chart. And one of them, it was all about penises. I don't know. I remember I used to listen to Point Hammered a lot.
Creative bros, yeah.
And they still pop up on my Twitter feed. I was just going through my old photos. I found pictures of that South Coast with like Darren Watson playing the Bastard, which is his affectionate name, Johnny, and Roger's really nice army. He took the best army prize with
that sort of pearlescent Cthulhu beam.
Yeah, they were beautiful.
Yeah.
But we've been like on the scene a lot, and I think we were always up and around with painting, weren't we? We kind of like because we were talking all the time, we were almost like pushing each other's painting forward. Like
there's probably going to be ones of there was a Masters where you guys went to the Gaming Masters and I went to the Painting Masters.
Yeah.
I think, and I was trying to do very inefficient, trying to work on my blending and making my boat smooth at that time. I remember us just throwing out and chatting and going slightly insane, trying to prep stuff for it. And then
I can remember I think there was like a period of time where like we've all had sort of like that sort of the peak of the painting. So like I think the end of 8th edition, sort of like I was picking up stuff with my warriors and my demons, and then like it was me and Russ vying for it. And then like Terry was more into the gaming in 8th edition, and like I can remember Byron then finished his amazing Alpha army, and then it was just like cleaning up because of all of the sort of like the graveyard stuff that you did, didn't you, Byron? With
there's probably a couple of pictures there. I found pictures of the bases. God, that took a long time.
Yeah,
it was apart.
So like I think like we've all
put the memories up for a while, put the models up.
We've all like collected a few painting trophies. Not so much in Sigmar, I think, like me anyway, and Russ.
I didn't in 8th. I didn't start winning painting competitions until Age of Sigmar, because my 8th edition armies were never finished. They were just changing every week for the film.
We used to joke about your armies never finished on the table, didn't we?
Yep. There was tournaments where I was painting models the morning of the event at the table. Like the round had started at 10 and I was there at like 9:57 painting rims, on movement trays and stuff.
Love a bit of rimming.
To make sure you got full painting points.
Full painting points, because all that mattered was I was getting those points, then I could push the filth.
I had a very fortunate for me, because I had Warriors of Chaos Army. I did this nice black armour that got quite a lot of awards, and then the 8th edition Warriors book come out, and it was really, really competitive, and I added some elements to it, and I was playing that, so I was taking a lot of awards with that. And then during the end times, I did a Maggot King of Nurgle army with Blow Up and things like that, and I went to Blood and Glory, and I think Blood and Glory, I think I won it like pretty much every year. I think I came second in the first year it ran with Demons. I think Leggy came first, and then I won
Leggy won that year.
Every year, 3 years after that, until I took Beastclaw Raiders 1 year and had a complete meh, which I think you cleared that one up, didn't you, Terry? Or you came on you won painting.
Second, no. I won painting and I come second.
And I got judge's choice painting, I think, with my Sylvaneth. I know I picked up something there, didn't I?
That was my ultimate Bros event. I think Glory used to have
Blood and Glory at the old venue.
It was awesome before it went to the Roundhouse.
That was really good.
And like since AOS come out, I've been doing a lot of like quick to table stuff, like my Nighthorn and the ETC. I did a contrast Slanesh army, which you can see on the screen now. But that was just something I did very quickly. But famously, my dry brushed Khorne, which were my first AOS army, which was
infamously Dan Mitchell.
And it was kind of after 8th when I had my Nurgle, which I won painting with at Blood and Glory, and then because when AOS came out, I rebased my old High Elves, and although I won the event, I didn't get a painting look in, which I was a bit disappointed with.
Yeah,
and I think
I specifically shared that one in our group. I love that army,
and I just kind of went, do you know what? Because I need to paint a Khorne army, I can't paint this properly. I'm just going to dry brush it, do a concept and get lava bases. And then I think I did very well gaming wise early in the Wild West with that. And even especially when I added Lord of Change and Warp Lightning Cannons.
You had a better holistic concept of how the game works.
I think that come down to the fact before AOS came out, I was playing like Saga. I was playing like other games which were like more skirmishy. Like I played a lot in my spare time, and AOS is not like old edition Warhammer. So although I was good at old edition Warhammer, I think I had a good foundation. Yeah. So when I went into AOS, I was very much like primed to do well, and I kind of understood the onion concept.
I can remember my first game of AOS against you when I turned up at your house and I had Malekith and some Dark Elves.
And I had Tomb Kings.
And you had Tomb Kings, and it was literally the most unfun thing I've ever had happen.
Didn't I kill Malekith with skeleton bowmen shooting?
Yeah.
Which should never happen, ever.
No, I know. I was super sad about it. I was like, meh, meh, meh. But yeah, just those early Age of Sigmar events were like even in the Wild West.
To play Age of Sigmar with an army that had been changed in the week prior of Blood and Glory from square bases to round bases at the hands of Martin Morrow, who found out that I'd never played and just demoed me as my first game at I think it was the 1,250 points or 500.
I remember that. I remember that because I demoed him in the last game of the tournament for the podium. So where I did the whole charge something, kill it, pile in, and hit the thing behind it.
Yeah,
and
he
catches people out these days.
And that was like one of my proudest AOS gaming moments. I was like, it was properly good, But we had we went up to Warhammer World, didn't we, Les? And we took you took your Stormcast, which are featured in White Dwarf, pretty iconic. And I took my dry brush.
It's a bit of a weird one, that
that
Stormcast army, because it's kind of like it started out being inspired by that image of the Celestial Vindicator Retributor hitting the Bloodthirster, but I started painting it like the one that image that Byron and because I don't think we knew what the Celestial Vindicators were initially straight off the bat. I might be completely wrong, or they might have had a name, but I didn't know what they were about. I just liked the colour, and it started out like that. I went all in on Stormcast. None of the models come out. Like there was no heroes at this point. It was just sort of like the starter set and Vandus and stuff. And then we went to that one day in the Christmas Sigmas, wasn't it? The Carl Smith run down in Bristol, because I was like, you'd gone to Blood and Glory. I'd got a sad on about Age of Sigmar and decided to play Infinity for a bit. So I did Infinity for a bit. And then Carl Smith was like, come to the event. And like him and Liam ran it. And I think Kieran ran it as well. And we went down there and you didn't have to have a painted army. And you'd just gone to Blood and Glory and you played Pete Foley with the Lightning Strike Brotherhood Battalion, and you were like, they're like Space Marines, they drop from the sky. You sold it to me like that. And I was like, fuck it, okay, we'll go to this event. And Carl Smith taught me how to play Sigmar with Stormcasts, like on the table. And you took probably the most broken formation that I still ever remember from Sigmar, and took it that one day, didn't you?
Yeah, it was glorious.
'Cause you didn't have to have a painted army, so the rest was just like, just turn out with my assembled.
I've won like 3 events for Stormcast, never painted a single Stormcast apart from the easy to build one that came with White Dwarf that we all painted as like part of the podcast when it first came out.
Yeah,
sounds like those events are your TTS. You're like, I can take whatever I like.
Well, it was good because it was the Azir. It was in the formation where you could, when the Prime used his scepter, you could summon a unit of paladins. And when we were playing under the mode comp, you just literally like went, hit the scepter, do mortal wounds, and then put paladins in melee, and then the liberators drop from the sky, and everything within 12 is half move, half charge, and then everything else is a gun. So it was just like, it was just ridiculous. But Carl was using like the Retributors Explosion on like a 2+. When you could stack...
the War Shrine stacked it all up, wasn't it?
And he was like, every like 4 up to hit was 2 mortal wounds.
2 mortal wounds.
And he was hitting on 1s or something stupid like that.
Yeah, because right at the start you could auto hit, couldn't you? It was before the rule of 1.
Yeah, before the rule of 1. Because it was before the General's Handbook, because there was no competitive play element to Age of Sigmar, and then the community, because Mo was running the first event, he wrote a pack. And then he sent it round to like me and Dan and people at the South Coast, I think to Ben and a few other tournament organisers in the UK, like Marcus, I think at the
probably
time.
Chris.
Yeah, I think so. And then like we were on an email chain and we were just like, oh, change this, change that. Have you thought about this? And then you had 20 points and there was like 0.5 point, 1 point. And then what happened after he did his event, and there was a couple other events, and obviously I was organiser of South Coast, so we were like, well, we need to do something for South Coast. I said, I don't like how there isn't much gradient in the points. So I basically times everything to make it so if it was like, it was by, I think it was by 100. So a 1 would be 100 points, a 2, because you had 20 points, that'd be 2,000, which is the old point system. Yeah. And we went through every war squad. I think Terry helped us out a lot on a couple of those calls.
It was me, you, Brian, and Dan, wasn't it? For like 2 full days, like
multiple times. Days, and every time they re-released a new book, we're like, for fuck's sake, it's a new book. I think we worked out at one point we did 900 war scrolls in 2 days.
Yeah, it was about 500.
I can remember. I can remember being on one of the calls and you guys just talking about it for hours, because I was just painting that Stormcast army, because I'd taken it to Sheffield Slaughter in the Wild West. And I'd got best general at Sheffield Slaughter with the Stormcast, and I was just like, yes, I've got a feeling for this. I think I'm going to go. I'll take painting at South Coast, and I'll fucking take the win at South Coast. And I went there, and Byron beat me at painting, and I finished like fucking 30th at South Coast, because the Les Martin chokes become a thing, like straight away.
That first South Coast was amazing. That was the one I took the Kairos to. And that guy put his slan on the 12-inch line.
I remember that.
I'm going to get elite my Thankor with his Warpfire projectors in front of your slan, and I will auto-kill him turn 1. I don't have to roll any dice, because it's all automatic, because I'm on this arcane, you're out of unbinding range, so I'm automatically going to skit a leap. So there's no dice there. And then I'm going to automatically do at least 7 wounds with Kairos' change the dice roll. So your slan will die turn 1, and I'm going first.
Wasn't that Dan Mitchell's mate?
It's Dan Mitchell's mate. And then he was like, I'll risk it. I'm like, there's no risk. It's 100% he is going to die on turn 1. And then he still deployed it there. So
I loved it. You like explained it to him, because you used to use the whole Saw the Faithless, Storm Fiend, and then you added like Skyfire, so you got your very iconic Nurgle army with mixed chaos. But
until it progressed into full Nurgle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was so honest with him as well. Like I wasn't trying to blag him into doing anything stupid. It was, this is going to happen. Your slan is going to die, and you're not going to be able to summon anything that you've kept in reserve, because he will be dead turn 1. I'll take the risk.
Dead.
All right then, mate. You take that risk.
So you were like, I have fulfilled my own moral obligations. Yep. Let's go.
I told you not to put it there, and I've explained why, and you've done it anyway. So the game was over in like 10 minutes. It was
that Safe Coast must have been after Firestorm 4s then, right? Did we do Firestorm 4?
No, maybe it was before.
I think,
because didn't we know, we knew Dan, didn't we?
Yeah. Firestorm was before, because it's normally before.
Because it had no comp.
Yeah, and because we went to that and we got to I think the last round we were playing Cheltenham guys and we didn't need to play the games, or we were playing either that or Carl Breakspear's lot. I can't remember because
it was Liam's lot because Liam had beat me at the club on the Monday. And we were playing on the weekend, and I was just like, he beat me on Monday. I want to play him again. And you were like, no.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that was right. Yeah. And I remember because we had the when you played Rob Crouchley, didn't you? And you brought out all the judicators down to shoot off Nagash, and I just got the touch by Stan Bush on my phone for the prime coming down. Yeah. And we were joking about the last round because you had a sideboard, didn't you? So you could deploy. You could change what you deployed.
And you took it in turns, alternating to put down the unit.
And you could only have 20
points.
Yeah,
which was interesting.
Because Crouchley had Nagash and all of the Mortarks, and that was his army. It was just like Nagash. You didn't have to because there was no battle lines. It was all Wild West. It was like Nagash, Neferata, Arcad, like Manfred, and it was just I think it was that and like a couple of zombies. And
I fucking love that Wild West with the summoning pool and all that. And I remember playing. I think I played Tony Moore at like every event. And every event, I just ran my corn around the table and ignored Nagash and won on objectives. And because I had to eat at Wrathmongers, and like what they used to do is you used to make the model hit themselves. So Nagash would basically be like, can't go near the Wrathmongers, and I would just run these guys around with these flails going, woo!
The little guys
So I've only played Tony Moore once, in all of Age of Sigmar. Ever since it's been out, I played him at the Masters, and I was notorious for killing Nagash with the Prime because I'd power the Prime up and just come down and smash Nagash off. And
smashing Nagash, not like you, Les.
It didn't work.
lads. So I mean, like you obviously had your Celestial Vindicator army, which is probably like one of the best AOS only model painted armies at the start when it came out. I mean, I know Byron. You rebased your beautiful elves, didn't you? And
mine was retrofitted though, but I guess we'll come to that in a bit. It ended up working out fine.
I mean, I've never actually won. I've won one best painted trophy with that.
I just can't believe that. I just can't believe that.
I've come second loads.
Is it my fault?
Basically, Byron and Gilmore,
between the two,
at every opportunity, every single time, it'd be like. I can remember that Safe Coast, I took it and I was just like, it's new, it's on the table. And Byron beat me then. And then the following year I did some changes and then Gilmore beat me then. And I was just like, I give up. I've only won Warlords.
It's not a nice thing if you were aiming to win it. You'd see it and you're like, I'll go over and look. And you're like, He probably painted that, sat in a lazy boy in bad light with a splayed size, base coat brush, and you're just looking at bloody hell, dude. Seriously.
Ian Gilmore is such a good painter. He's such a nice lad as well.
So I didn't bear it against him, the arsehole.
No. Yeah, I know. What a
as he would say, what a prick.
But yeah, I've only won one best painted, and that was Warlords with the Celestial Vindicators. So it's a bit of an odd one, really, when you think about it. I mean, maybe it just wasn't good enough. I quite like it, but
so much fun at Firestorm 4s. Did we do 3?
I think we won. We were basically every team event we were winning until we got to the point where we got found out, where people started caring more and the rules started changing and stuff. Because the General's Havoc came out in 2016, I think the first one. It might have been 17, I can't remember.
We still did well under GHB though, didn't we?
Yeah, it was
playing Tom's team with the Marauders. That was one of our hardest rounds.
Because the first, when the Masters in AOS, because I remember the Masters in the end time, which I would have won if we didn't have that weird cap scoring, and Aristo took that men in a building, and I just
deployed a fortress. And his army.
I made Raph and Craig quit Lizardmen, which was the highlight of my life. On that one event, and I remember going to Sheffield, and I had Malekith there, and then I had Blood and Glory. I had the Maggot King before, and then AOS was coming out, and we started recording around the end times that Masters. I think the Masters was our first show, and that was February 2015, if I remember correctly, which is when and we started the Twitter account in January 2015, because we just decided to record and what we were talking about. And I remember famously us having a show where we go, we're going to take a break, and we just leave the mic on and just walk away. And they come back 20 minutes later, and things like that. And some of the early shows, we said some stuff which was kind of like a bit close to the wire, but we used to not pull our punches on stuff, and it was interesting because I think we were all very unsure what was going on with the game. We didn't know what AOS was. We didn't know what was happening. We had rumours that they were going to blow the world up, and we were like, they're not going to blow it up. They're not going to blow it up.
Can you remember, like, everyone scrabbling to buy the End Times? Like, without fail, we were at an event, an 8th edition event, when an End Times book dropped, and everyone just, like, on their phones trying to order it.
It was sold out Blood and Glory. It was Kane, wasn't it? It was
it was the Kane book.
Yeah. So I got the limited edition. I've got the limited edition of all of them. I've got some of the artwork hanging up in my hobby room in my lounge, although my girlfriend's told me to take it all down because the son doesn't like it. So they're now Batman pictures, but that's besides the point. So
swap with Les.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've still got them. They're just Batman's in front, they're behind, so I still know they're there. In my head, they're still. Okay. I've still got Nagash on my wall in my living room. She doesn't know it. So. Got to represent the big man. So it's like, you know, it was a weird time, and I think a lot of the podcasts and people were getting fed up with Warhammer. 8th edition, for people who listening to this or watching this that have never played old Hammer, was a bizarre, very different animal to what it is
Definitely
now.
Got stale as well. GW just didn't update things with the regularity they did. I remember going like 9 months between book releases, which is going to sound like madness to anyone who started in Age of Sigmar will not have a clue what it is like to have, you know, a book come out and be top tier and for nothing to change the meta for, you know, literally like a year.
Let's put it into perspective. Okay, so 8th edition dropped July. I can't remember the year, but it was July. The Orc book was the first army book, came out in October. So that's like 3 months before they released the first army book, and I think the Empire come out around then as well. And then the next one was April, which was Tomb Kings. Now, that's like,
these are the hardbacks, aren't they?
Yeah,
as well?
This is the
hardback.
Which is what I've got up in that cabinet, the red spines that you can just see up there.
You want to throw that Tomb Kings one in the bin, mate? No one cares about it.
Mate, never. Tomb King for life. Me and Tyler, we text each other about our Cetra stories.
About your rods.
Yeah, about it's all about the what about Cetra, and we don't kneel. And I remember that we were like, it was just bizarre because like the AOS is like on a roller coaster. And I remember when it came out, and it was
crazy.
What you've got to remember,
2 books released at once.
What you've got to remember is the rulebook used to be like 100 pages, and I played a lot of ETC and stuff like that, and I think Terry got the Polish experience at one of the South Coasts, where it was who could argue the rules.
Warhammer. Yeah, it's who if you could prove that you could argue a rule even if it was wrong, that made you better at Warhammer. If you could basically
pages of how to disagree with your opponent.
Yeah, if you could put forward an argument that was so bullshit that you just couldn't get around it, that was playing Warhammer against Furion. What a belly.
I love it. Terry's like, I'm out. I can say whatever the fuck I want now.
Had a qualifier on there because we loved hanging out with the Polish and playing the Polish at ETC.
He was the worst 8th edition experience I'd ever had.
This was the weird thing about going into the ETC for AOS, because like a lot of the people that had been to the ETC back in 2010, when it was like, and you go to a table and you're like, do people really behave like this? And in their you think their culture and it's how they play competitive gaming. And then you went to the AOS and the crowd was so much cooler, and it's just like, this is so much more refreshing. And it's like what happened to the game, because at the end of 8th edition, all of the dickheads, not all of them, and I don't mean that everyone who didn't play AOS is a dickhead.
I'm still here.
So we still carried on. So we were the only dickheads left, so that's why we won everything. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke for the American listeners. I was
never winning anything.
No, you didn't win anything. Unless it was a team event. And, you know, me and Terry have got big shoulders. So, and then I think it was really funny because I remember...
me until 2017.
Until you became like the GT champion randomly, like when Warhammer World started doing events again, and they did Warlords, and then they did the heats, and
that time.
But no, I mean, props to you, and I think I don't remember what my point was now, but that might be something to the Long Island iced tea I've just drunk.
Yeah,
but
the culture.
It
was just very different, wasn't it?
It changed, and the game started to speed up. But originally, when like AOS came out and they blew it up, it was almost like, I kind of put it to like a bomb's gone off and like all the dust is settling and you're like, what is going on? And you're walking around and it's a bit like that scene in Saving Private Ryan where you're walking around trying to pick your arm up off the floor, and you're like...
So you're comparing Age of Sigmar to D-Day landings, just so we're clear.
Just so we're clear, yeah. So...
okay, right.
I'm sorry.
Just make a note of where I edit this out. Yeah.
No, but what I mean by that, it was just it was such a shock. Is what I mean. I'm not comparing it to people who gave their lives for the country and all that, of course. But that was the point is, it's people going through that change, and some people stayed and some people didn't, and then one of the things.
A lot of people that like we got on with and are not playing Age of Sigmar. I think one of the things that I found really eye-opening was when we were at ETC in Novi Sad. It was just like seeing all of the people that like used to just get on like and stuff like that, and
all the guys like Leggy, Marcus, all those sort of guys that Craig, all these people and even like people that from other countries that I had met at ETCs, and like Guido and people like that I spent a lot of time with, who came over to the UK, and even like Nick Hohen and people like that, and they weren't really playing, and especially like I remember the Australian team. The Australia scene got decimated. They all went off to Privateer Press, basically. I went to some Privateer Press events in the UK with Andrew Galea, who used to run the rankings, and then he went on to launch his own game called Judgment, I think it is. But and we met him he was in America doing when we went to Adepticon. And he was sort of running demos. I was like, "Hey, man!" And he was like, "I'm running demos." I was like, "Yeah, I know you can't really talk, but I'll come catch you later." But it was because I remember going to my first Privateer Press event with him. Randomly, my mum and dad picked him up from Bristol, and we went, and it was 50 points hardcore Privateer, and I played like a guy called Ashley Mitchell, who used to be at the Dragon Slayers. I played Conrad Gonzalez, who runs the Boosted Damage podcast, who used to be big on the Warhammer scene, up with the WPS back in the day when there's the Warhammer Player Society, and you had the Club Challenge, which was run up in the Mersey, and then you had like Marcus who run up the Mersey Meltdown, and you had all these people that like kind of stopped playing Warhammer and went on to do other things. But I think the Age of Sigmar scene has just been amazing, and even like from when you hear some negative stuff on Twitter or whatever from some of the people involved, it's so much better. Like honestly, like there was so much more of that in the old days, and
it's really interesting when you think about it, sort of like, because obviously Sigmar started and there wasn't the player base, and then it's slowly over the last 5 years or whatever it is, has just become this monster of a scene.
It had like cells. You know that there was like, we knew obviously via sales element, we knew there was a pocket of people who were playing, and it was the war chiefs. Like we could see that in terms of where stuff was going, and then it got to a point where you're like, oh, more new people are picking this up in bits and bobs, and it just got to like a realization moment, and then it was just like everyone's playing everywhere. There's loads of releases. Like all the models are amazing. What's going on?
It was just crazy when you think about it. I look back at the War Chiefs and I like commend like Liam, Pano, Carl, and like the Chump Kings now essentially, because they were like, no, we're gonna play Sigmar, and then like because they were there every week playing it, they
50-man events, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
is anyone playing?
And it just like the Chiefs just become like, I remember at one point there was just like a sea of before
purple hoodies,
purple hoodies everywhere. Like I've just got.
I think I've got a picture at South Coast where there's the army judging, and there's like 12 purple hoodies all looking at the armies, and it just says like War Chiefs. It's all across the back of all the hoodies or whatever it is. It's just every single person.
It was like a gang. It was really cool. I can just remember like the War Chiefs being. Like every event, there'd be like 12 to 15 war chiefs.
Well, they were like,
and there would be.
They were like the Dragon Slayers for Age of Sigmar for people who, because I've been on the block a long time. Okay, so and I back in the day, the Dragon Slayers were like the club. And then at early AOS, War Chiefs were the club, right? I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say that.
I remember, like, we did a little eggs, and, like, 50% of the people, they just brought down 3 cars worth or whatever, and that was quite a big deal in the beginning of Wild West
Dave
days.
Nat. Dave Nat hired a minibus, and I can still remember us going down. And Dave Nat, obviously, we all met in Worcester, and we got absolutely blotto. And I can remember Dave Nat pulling over on the hard shoulder for Sedge to throw up.
Yeah. You had to pull over for Sedge to be sick. Amazing.
Yeah. And like me and Brian Hatchett were like this little hole in the wall like pub in Worcester, just like drinking JD at like 11 o'clock in the morning. It was just like ridiculous. Oh man, I miss the good old days, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and hopefully days to come. But for me, like the people that like we met on the tournament scene and through the journey of AOS with like the events, like obviously like Mo, and then like Ben running Blood and Glory, and then like South Coast, and then we went into stuff like Chris running his events, and even like the Swindon guys using the local Firestorm to run their little one dayers and stuff.
Bristol Gaming too.
Bristol,
we had some sick times there. That was one of the most fun events I have ever been to. Remains.
I was definitely sick at that event.
Well,
when I had flew that event, and I still played and got drunk the whole weekend.
It was it was like when we went to that last game against the Perrin brothers, wasn't it? And I had a bottle of Jaeger because we bought those coolie bags. And we were like, it's fine, because what we'll do is we'll finish the Jaeger before we play. And literally, I think I underestimated how much Jaeger was actually left in that bottle.
And we just did shots.
I think we did like 8 Jaeger shots between the 4 of us. And for some reason, every time I had to quote Gladiator. And this was
what you do when you drink in Bristol, because they had the throne and the fucking like the gladiator helmet, and it was just that was at the
that was at the Mo's
that was at the thing, wasn't it?
Invitational, but it's the same venue. But it's the Roman helmet was strong. I think there is an image somewhere flicking where I've got it on with End of Times Bro t-shirt from the Black Sun.
You and Terry were like, in that event, you and Terry did the Chaos thing, didn't you? I was with Liam with Silverneff because it was a doubles. Not to be confused with when we did the Gary Hennessy Sigbra event, wasn't it, with Andy Talbot, where I teamed up with Laurie, like completely at the view, and I taught Laurie how to play Warhammer.
And you did not like what was it I was saying to you about the?
You were singing Silverneff Wankers.
Yeah.
Just literally when
it was Silverneff Wankers.
You were singing the Eskimo Bros song.
Yeah, but in the Silverneff Wankers
instead.
On table 1, and you were just like eat at me
because we played Paddy. We played Paddy and Tomlin Chris in the last round, didn't we? To take that event out.
And Laurie on table 1, and we come second. I think that was Laurie's first trophy that he got. So just so we're clear, I carried Laurie and gave him his first trophy. Ultimately, he'll admit I'm a better Silverneff player than him. So
me and Terry have teamed up multiple occasions. So we're as a doubles group, we've conquered many a table. And an event, and amongst other things, and we've done pretty well with our doubles career. I remember we were at Mansfield Mall. We were at Mansfield Mall, and you bought a strongbow, and you got a yellow beanie.
You got a beanie when you got a pint of cider.
We decided to do Jaeger bombs and play this doubles game, and we were just like 2 beatniks in our yellow hats, and we absolutely just smashed it. Because I remember, like, I think we were playing like double demons, weren't we? I had like my Nurgle, and I think I remember that there was I had a unit of plague drones, like 3, and they had like 6 in a unit, and there was a house. And I was like, they were behind the house, and I was like, you put them on, flank onto my unit. This is flank and spank, as I used to call it, old edition. And I was
all of these anecdotes will be 8th edition, so no one will know what we're talking about.
And I charged you in the side. And they were like, how could you see me? And the house had a little hole in it, and my plague drone's head was just poking through the hole. Just see straight through the house. I was like, I can see you, mate. Look through that hole. And he was like, oh. And it was just a glorious game. Still remember that. That was awesome, that Sheffield. Mansfield, but yeah.
In general, though, like Sigmar, we've made like so many good friends over the years. Like when you think of like the first Firestorm, where like Dan Mitchell, we met Dan and Joe Pasal, who are like, arguably some of our closest friends now. They're like
Yeah, and
super long.
It's quite cool as well, like because Dan Mitchell's obviously gone on to do Priority Roll, and obviously it's amazing. Like I think when I started on the scene, I remember my first tournament, and this is going back to like 2002 or 2001. And I remember my first game at Warhammer World, and I played like Ben Johnson round 2, and he completely smashed my back doors in. Didn't know who he was at the time, and just from that I used to go with healing. But then like you go to now, and it's almost like you kind of think like people at AD Mac who are like less around now, but they were kind of like the old guy. I feel like I'm the old now, so it's kind of crazy, but it's been the Age of Sigmar journey has been pretty amazing, to be honest, and it's felt like it's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
well, it's been like GW changed as a company within that time period.
Yeah,
like never mind the game or us or who we've met or events or people figuring out the game more. Like as an entire company, like we've already alluded to the release schedules and stuff, but the entire company has shifted massively around the start of AOS, and then I'd say probably took a little bit of time to catch up to the potential of it or their own potential, and then suddenly we're getting bumped. I remember us all missing one release. We were like, a book came out, didn't it? And it was like, was it the Pestilence book?
Yeah,
book?
Was there a Pestilence Battle Tome? And you're like, it does exist.
It just come out.
Yeah,
like, so many things were coming out, and we just weren't used to it not being like, never mind broadcast, but fully spoiled, and we were already bored of it before it was released in like 3 months prior to release. And then suddenly we've gone to a world where we're like, oh, what? Another one? Like, does anyone know what it does?
Well, we're talking about the book releases and stuff. So the Orc book in 8th edition was the first hardback 8th edition book, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the next Orc book?
Bone Splitters?
Bone Splitters. That's how long it was between Orc books. It was like 6 years between books.
You're never going to win because the Wood Elf players are going to go 11 years, 11 years, like that, double digits.
Beastman. Was it not Beastman had like the longest
Wood Elves? Because they went a whole edition without getting a book.
Probably on par, I guess.
Because Wood Elves were 6th edition and they never got one in 7th, and they got one in 8th.
Yeah. I was so excited to start a Wood Elf army in 8th edition. I had because it was all of the Wild Riders, because they were like amazing in 8th edition. I've still got like a half assembled Wood Elf army in a box at my mum and dad's house from 8th edition, because I put I used the old wildwood trees, and I had like the metal hawks flying out of it, because you used to take the Hawk Riders and stuff. And yeah, it's crazy. But
I've just
now you get
is
a book.
It really Bone Splitters?
Yeah. You get a book, and then like a year later, you got another book, and then you probably had 4 or 5 FAQs for that book.
That's like your shit actually getting updated. That wasn't a thing.
That's good though.
No, I mean it's
amazing when you think about how many
different it was.
Used to be like,
how many Stormcast books have we got now? Like, I mean, I could go check
too many. There, it's gone too far. Real talk.
I think there's been.
I don't know which.
You had like the first one, then you had like the Extremist Chamber. Then you had the one with the Vanguard stuff in it. Then you had another one. I think actually,
I know the Extremist didn't have points, did it? That was the Stardrake Chamber initially.
No, it was before that.
I can remember it yeah.
So we had it was, I think 2016 was the first handbook, or was it 2017? It was a while. I think it came out.
You tell me. That was before my time on the playtest team, at least 2016.
So I remember getting invited, and we did a show called Podcast Eternals, and that was me, Dan, Ben Curry. We got invited by the guys at GW up there, and basically got handed a big contract to sign, NDA, and then we got handed a blue folder, and the blue folder had like the General's Handbook draft 1 in it.
I've got the same book twice here for some reason.
Take it back for credit.
That's 30 seconds.
It's not that they've released it a lot, you've just bought it multiple times. 5. Is it because every time you see it, you go, they must have released a new one by now, so I'll buy a new one?
Odds are that they have. I just got it wrong once.
It's not as bad as Space Marines, right? So, but, obviously being involved with the playtest and the sort of the legitimizing of competitive match play becoming a thing, and then obviously from that, then we had the community team started up, and I remember we had the community team on our podcast to talk about Warhammer TV. So we actually had them on to promote their channel, which is bizarre. And then,
yeah, because Rob come on, didn't
Yeah.
he? And we did the whole like, yeah.
and then we obviously spent. I've been on like Warhammer TV. We've all been on Warhammer TV in some way, shape, or form, haven't we?
Yeah.
And
Only one of us has temporarily been banned from going on Warhammer TV, though.
that was Terry was on a timeout. Let's leave it at that. After the Warlords event, and I remember the Warlords was the first one that they sort of started to engage, and that was the September. Must be 2016.
So that was my first ever official tournament at Warhammer World. I'd never been to one before because they didn't run them in.
That was mine as well.
And
I think me too.
And like, yeah.
I'm old, man. I used to do them all the time. Like I remember my first event. I used to work at GW Swindon, and we took a mini bus, and we had there's a hotel that me and Dan used to stay at. But before that, he knew about it because I used to stay there with my mates, and it was called the Highlands Hotel, and it's in Lenton, in Beeston, actually. And the entire top floor had like 12 beds, and we booked out the entire top floor, and it was amazing.
Didn't we stay there recently?
Yeah.
Didn't the last time we were there?
Yeah, it's like your grand's house. It's like your grand's house.
The one I was at as well.
Yeah. So
where the shower door fell on me in the shower.
Yeah, probably
that one.
So it's quaint. Let's put it that way. But it's cheap, and the breakfast is good. And the weird thing is, every time I go, there's the same woman serving breakfast. She must have been there like 20 odd years. but like, it was amazing, right? And that was at Warhammer World. You used to do the heats and the final, and I remember they used to have the Shenanigans guys and like Gary Moore and other people doing the refereeing, and they had their own FAQs and stuff. It was really bizarre. Then, like, obviously that all stopped during 8th edition.
For a long time.
And there was this whole social media blackout from GW, and there was this whole competitive
forum,
play. Yeah, they shut all that down, and
there was a GW forum. I remember being on it.
It was,
and then it disappeared.
It definitely wasn't a den of toxic, incestuous.
It definitely was
horrible.
All before my time. Never had anything to do with any of that. I was just playing 40k in my garage with my mate.
I was like, using Cool Mini then. I think it's just painting some stuff.
Yeah. And we but all of that, like the fact that, like, obviously that all started, the media started, the live coverage started, like even like Warhammer Community, the General's Handbook and all that, and being like a part of that. And then the thing for me that really made sort of AOS becoming almost like back, but in a better way, was when ETC had it as well. Like obviously before COVID, but obviously when we won it. But it's besides that point.
No, because ETC was before that, didn't they? They had the first. Did
they have AOS there?
Four was there.
Yeah,
they did it.
Oh, 4 teams was it? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was some people worked incredibly hard to get it there in any format, and 4 teams was the amount of teams they could get. And then it was slightly more officially done the next year when we turned up.
The French one, didn't they? The
French, of course, yeah. Because I think I vaguely remember it was a bit last minute. Because I think it wasn't. It was kind of like shoehorned in because people were trying to get it there. So I do apologise. So it's. But that being able to go to the ETC and play the game I want to play, because I'm very much like, I'll play the official game and I'll move on. I don't. There was obviously like even like 9th edition stuff where people made their own fan fiction game, when some people stayed playing that, and that's up to them. But
I believe there's still a community, isn't there? A 9th Age community. There's still people playing and doing tournaments.
There's still. I mean, I had a couple of people inquire about one of my 8th edition armies, so because it was on Square basis. But I mean, I just like to sort of like highlight the fact that I started playing in 8th edition, and I was just woeful at 8th edition. Like, I think my highest finish in an 8th edition event was top 20. Like, I was just not very good at it. And like you guys carried me at team events.
Yeah, I aimed for top half at events.
Yeah, and I would never in a million years have thought that I would have gone, like, being somebody that was a fan of like podcasts and stuff, and a lot of the like competitive play, the ETC talk, being like coming in from someone that wasn't very good at the game to then, over the course of Sigmar, like I played for the Scottish team at Six Nations in 8th edition the last year, and that was like my first, because my mum's Scottish essentially, and I then would, because I'd never get on the England team, I was just not good enough, and then like with Sigmar and like Ben Curry announcing the first stage of Sigmar Six Nations, and like being able to be a good enough player at the time. I'm probably not a good enough player now to get on the team. Was that the one
where I subbed in, or did I sub in the one after that?
Because that was the first one. Because there was that was the event that Russ didn't come to. You didn't go to the first Six
no. I don't know if you were there, Byron.
I subbed in because Darren was going to, like, I subbed in last moment, and I remember being like, guys, I'm not very good.
I think
they wanted me to take some janky army that I didn't understand, and I just said, can I, like you're taking me that concession anyway, can I just take an army that I know how to use, which is my weird debuff death army, which is actually
was that the second Six Nations, or was that the first
second one? Yeah, it was super.
Because I know Kieran Harper was on. The first Six Nations was roasting because it was at the Bad Dice. It was the first, the Blood and Glory event.
Yeah,
Kieran Harper was on the team. Like Terry was on the team.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah. It was that one. Then that was Darren Palmer was meant to go with some.
That was it, Darren Palmer, and you subbed in, didn't you? Because
I subbed in with weird debuff death, and actually had a really good event. Apart from playing, I played someone with Bone Splitters or something of that type, which just shot a lot. I remember just getting bullied.
I took Sylvan after that event, and I only lost to Ben Curry because he had what was the ridiculous Skaven army?
Stormfiend pop-up list.
The Stormfiend pop-up list, and he shot me off. Yeah, Clan Sky. So
playing Joe with that one, that was a nasty occurrence. Playing him.
I played Liam with it at Warlords, didn't I? And our game was over in like 4 minutes or something.
He pop up and just kill everything.
Popped up and killed all my characters. Turn one, I was like, oh.
I played Liam. I think it might have been Warlords as well with my Khorne.
It was the same event. I think. And I just didn't have the bodies in my army to stop it.
Joe had it at the same time.
Ended up playing. I remember like Sedge. I played Sedge with the Bone Splitters, and we did a Bone Splitters show, didn't we? And he said that he listened to it about 80 times while he was painting the army to know how it all worked. And then he proceeded to shoot me off with his little yellow dice, which was
those little yellow dice need to get in the bin.
Hundreds of hours of fun. And then
with great power comes great responsibility, Russ.
That's fine. I mean,
he won the event, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but it's all Pano's fault, so but I mean, in terms of like Facehammer, I mean, obviously we did AOS content and we stuck with it basically, didn't we? And carried on through, and we were lucky enough to get kind of picked up by GW as like as one of the prominent podcasts out there. So we obviously get a bit of support from them. So they send us like books and stuff to review, and obviously being on the playtest and that it helps us a lot.
Yeah, I just want to like touch on the fact that like that's something that I mean, admittedly, like Terry and Byron probably can't talk about this like me and you can, but for me being asked to be part of the playtest team is like I'd never in a million years would have imagined that back in 8th edition or when I started on the tournament scene or anything like that. So I think it just goes to show that if you want to be part of something, you just need to approach it the right way. And I was really, one of the things I'm really thankful for is, being asked to be part of the playtest team and just, I'd never have got to that point if it wasn't for, I wouldn't have been a competent enough gamer to be on the playtest team if it wasn't for all of the time I spent talking about the hobby and like the gaming with you guys, really. So
I remember just the cause of us recording for the first time was us sitting down. We'd have chats where we'd work out an army list. I remember literally like for 8th edition team event at Element, me taking an ogres list, and I remember us sitting down and we worked out what I should be taking that wouldn't be too crap and I wouldn't fuck up. And I remember thinking, was that like I'd listen to the shit out of this. Can we record this?
Was that the Bjorn event that Morsey ran when it was Bjorn teams and we played both England teams at the time? Yeah, and and Wildman absolutely destroyed me in like 2 turns with like Prince Imric, I think. Yeah, it was just like back in I can just remember like every time I played Wildman in 8th edition, he literally just rocked up to the table and just took me off in like 2 turns. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. He's only beaten me once in 8th edition, but it was the only time it mattered. When he stopped me winning the Masters with that one bloody dice roll of that one unit of these little plague dudes in his Skaven. He needed a ridiculous charge, that one dice roll. And the sad thing was, when I look back at all my photos, I could have just swift reformed some pink horrors into the way, but I didn't see it at the time.
I remember that Blood and Glory when I was playing Andy Potter, and he goes, we both had a unit that could swift reform into a building and into a watchtower, And he won the turn roll. I said, well, you've won the game then. And he goes, why? I said, you're just going to swift reform into the building. And he goes, I'm not going to do
turn
that.
Roll?
And I said, no, he won the to go first.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Because you used to roll off, didn't you?
Yeah.
He
goes first.
So he basically had the choice. So he goes, I'm going to go first. I said, well, you're going to win the game now because you're going to reform into the building. And he said to me, he goes, so I don't play like that. I said, I do. I play like that. So if you don't do it, I will.
You don't.
And he didn't do it. And I reformed into the building. And then he got salty. It was amazing. I said, I warned you, man. I warned you. It was like when I played Malekith at the in the end times. That was amazing. Played a Malekith mirror in the last round.
I have very different opinions about that.
The end times was the best.
Models.
Oh, it was the best. Oh, it was the best. If you were happy just riding that filth train, it was amazing. I remember playing Diesel at Blood and Glue with my Maggot King Fiend like painting army, which wasn't a good competitive army, and he had Karl Franz and steam tanks, and it was just like it was ridiculous. It was so.
I can remember playing Christian White at my first ever event, like at Sheffield Slaughter. I lost all my games, but beat Christian White, and then I can remember playing him at the End Times, which was my best finish in 8th edition. End Times, and I had Kairos Fateweaver and 4 units of 4 Beasts of Nurgle, because Beasts of Nurgle used to be filth in 8th edition, and he had Karl Franz, and I can remember him like just trying to kill me with Karl Franz. I just basically just killed everything apart from Karl Franz. It was just. Because was it the Exalted Karl Franz? Literally just
Exalted Franz.
Killed everything.
I forgot that was ever a thing.
Wasn't it didn't Ben Curry kill Stephen Follows with Pit of Shades? And it was just like, I'll put Pit of Shades on Karl Franz. It was like, don't roll a 1. And he rolled a 1 and just went down the hole. It was
amazing.
No, it was a 1 to not go down the hole, wasn't it? Or was it?
No. It's an initiative test, wasn't it?
It was an initiative test. You had to roll under your initiative
under it. And he rolled a 6, didn't he?
If you roll a 6, you were auto dead.
Yeah.
I loved the big spells back in 8th edition.
Battle
reports were so good. Just 6 diced him off. Yep, 6 dice to come off.
It was you were like 6 dice final trans, like regen. Yep. Just rolled all those 4-ups.
Rolled all 4-ups, regen all, 6 dice that off, 1.
I still remember that card event because me and you were both playing demons in at the time, weren't we? And then like you played Luke Morton. And he smashed it, and it was a lunch break, I think, because in the pub we were in Weatherspoons. He's just going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I was playing ogres. I borrowed Andy Matthews' ogres for that event for a bit of fun because I was just constantly taking the net list of my demons.
Yeah.
So I took the ogres, and Luke did something that I didn't expect him to do, and he smashed me off in like 2 turns with the demon list. And then you sorted them out.
You've never lost to Luke, have you, Russ?
No. I stole that demon list from Germany because when I went to Denmark, I played the German ETC team, and the guy had this demon army, and I went, "That is awesome! I'm going to definitely steal that." And we
all played demons, didn't we? Me, you, and Terry all played demons.
And Byron did as well.
If you wanted to do anything in 8th edition, you had to play demons, dark elves, or vampires, and then vampires weren't that good, so you had to play demons or dark elves, basically.
Or warriors.
Yeah. Warriors at the end, But like before the warrior book got redone. Because when the warriors got the White Dwarf update, they got a proper book. When that second proper book come out, they were just dumb. I remember that event we went to in... I think I was on the team with Leggy... Mikey Newman and Craig Johnson, and we played that event, and I played Warriors, and it was just like they had to drive back to Manchester, didn't realise it was 6 rounds. We'd already run by the 5th round, so they wanted to drive back and get the trophies posted.
Was that not the Plymouth event?
Yeah, it was in Plymouth.
Chariots,
it was
Chariots of Chaos.
When Big moved to Plymouth, didn't it?
Yeah.
Or the Giant Slayer.
Yeah, because it wasn't at Cardiff, because we played at that Cardiff.
No, it was in Plymouth. It was miles away for them. So because I know Leggy drove from Manchester, so.
And I can remember listening to the Black Sun because you played Chris Tomlin, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like a mirror.
Yeah.
And it was like Skull Crushers, and it was like the Nurgle Demon Prince with the charm shields and the flaming helm.
The best bit was when my chariot could just see the Dark Elf crossbowman, but then I rolled the 6 for the charge, but because you do the stand and shoot before you move, he only shot with 2 models because only 2 could see it. And then it charged over the hill into the unit and just took it off and went into his level 4 and killed his level 4 wizard. And I was just like, yeah. It was amazing. But
if you ever pick up an 8th edition book, like, I can remember talking to Tinsdale recently at one of the Warhammer World events, and just talking to him about like 8th edition and us reminiscing about it all. And Tinsdale's just like, what?
Yeah.
Because he just didn't understand, because he's not played it and stuff, had he? So, but
I mean, from Age of Sigmar, obviously, we were there from when it went into like General's Handbook and competitive, and we've done a lot of events and stuff. And obviously, we ran Facehammer GT. So for me, like that was like the pinnacle for me, like being able to run an event with you guys that's our own. Because although I'm involved with South Coast, I like the fact that we were at Element. It was our baby, and we could do what we wanted. And I think that the one where like Domus came over, and that was just amazing.
That was the best Facehammer.
Me hugging him in the one that I sent across. That atmosphere was sick as well. Walking through that door, obviously it's my place, so I like it anyway. But walking through that door to just see everyone was just buzzing so much. It was such an amazing.
I mean, I look back on it, and I think that like Domus being there was amazing. But like when Sam Davis won. Like the first Facehammer, and because we had like the option like back in the day for
0 hours sleep.
Because you've gone out drinking with Tomlin the night before. But we had like the first Facehammer you submitted 2 lists and you could switch between which list you wanted. And Sam Davis had like Stormcast, and it was like Skyborn Slayers and Warrior Brotherhood. And I could just remember walking over to table 1, and he was playing. I think it was Dan Ford on like the last round, and he had like all of his liberators in a line with the protectors from Skyborn Slayers behind it, because they could fight over the top, and it just like blew Dan Ford's mind. And then like when he won the event, it was just like Tomlin won best painted, didn't he? At that event?
He did. Yeah, Tomlin always did well as well. You know, he I think he might have top 10.
I think he come like 4th or 5th in every event.
Yeah.
He was always up there.
Yeah.
Never with top tier, with like Iron Jaws, and then Phoenix
Temple,
with the Magisterium funny cow.
Aventis, the Aventis Stormcast guy.
So. I remember he played his tits off every single time, usually whilst fairly inebriated, but he would he just went, and you know, he's a quality player, and it always shone through at Facehammer for some reason. I don't know why. You know, each event has its own atmosphere. Like I have done fairly well at GTs, and then Tomlin just seemed to spank it every time he'd turn up, and he'd just be teching people out with Iron Jaws. I remember popping over, and he'd be fleeing or smashing Darren Palmer with his Phoenix Guard list as well against the most bent free guild list I've ever seen in my life.
I think one of the big things about Facehammer is we were quite early on. We wanted soft scores to be a big separator. Yeah. So they were always quite high up, and obviously Tomlin paints really nice armies, and he's a nice guy who gets sports. So he basically conversely to what we used to do at South Coast, which was very much gaming. That's where you get your points, and then there's other prizes. Facehammer had soft scores, but they were soft scores that were impactful, but only if you were in the same win-loss bracket as the people. So if it's like a separator rather than a trumper. And I know that even like, it was quite funny. I remember the year that Jack was, oh no, I don't all like all this. He turns up, wins it, like not having to worry about soft scores at all. And then like he's like, oh, I've got that one now. I don't need to come back. But
he wasn't keen on the soft scores. I was like, well, you just come and win 5 games.
Yeah.
And then he came and won 5 games. I was like, oh, well, there you go.
Exactly.
Done. Easy.
That was shame that we haven't had a chance to run Facehammer GT. It would have been nice to have had one more time in it, because obviously, like, you know, not
memories of.
I get to go and play in it now, though, right?
Well, you get to play in it, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get to play in it now.
Especially throwing out with
Ruskins,
Domus and Tom at my house. That just felt like an absolute privilege.
But we had. I mean, like, it's probably a good thing to say is that obviously, like, we went to Adepticon, as you see some of the pictures, as a 4, and I think for me that was a really like amazing time for us, because we got to meet a load of the guys in the States that listened to us. That I remember, like, one of the days I was going around the show and I was just wearing a Facehammer top, and I had like people stopping me and saying like, "Oh, I love your show" and all this, and it was just kind of overwhelming. Like, actually, because
the nice thing about like Americans do that way more readily than English people as well. They'll be like, "Hey, are you this person? I like your stuff," and you know we're a bit better at being awkward in the UK, aren't we?
Yeah.
I can't really remember much of Adepticon. I was so drunk the entire time. I remember Alex. Alex just sort of like ferrying us around that early doors and stuff. And yeah, and also like meeting like Dave Witek, because like Witek, I always was a big fan of like Garage Hammer and just like getting on with Witek and the guys like from Rolling Bad and stuff like Andrew.
Yeah.
I completely forgot the guy's name now, and it's like it's going to really annoy him. But like we talk about comic stuff
so many amazing people there.
It was amazing. It was even good. Like it was really weird because Andy Avery turned up, and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
I haven't seen you since like 7th edition, like Warhammer."
Woody as well, I remember.
Yeah. And it was just great. Like loads of people that we knew or we didn't know, people that we'd heard of but not seen. I remember like seeing Vince going around in his apron because he was doing classes and stuff, and he had some entries in Crystal Brush, and obviously we know like Alex Gonzalez and stuff like that. But it's the first time we really met, and Brad, and
Alric Edge. Alric is the guy that I was thinking of. Like chatted to, but I'm sure we're going to like if we start naming people, there's going to be people that we will have forgotten and miss out, like Sean and Jake and all those boys. So.
Yeah, I mean,
Terry enjoyed doing shopping as well at Strange Tidings of the Night
because we were trying to fight the sleep, weren't we, to stay awake?
Yeah.
To try and get a sleep pattern going.
I just flaked out.
11 o'clock at night, 11:30, we turn up to a supermarket that's still fully open. Or
Target,
which was 5:30 in the morning for us, wasn't it? Because it was 6 hours.
Yeah.
I was in the lobby, and you were like, we're going to Target. I was like, I'll come with you. And then we were waiting. I can't remember what we were waiting, like either to Domus to come.
We were waiting for Domus.
And I sat there and I was like, literally 10 minutes later, I'm like, no, I'm done. Go to bed.
Yeah. There's a picture of me stood
Looking
in the
at the
Pop-Tart aisle.
Yeah.
In my trackies and flip-flops, just completely overwhelmed by how many flavours of Pop-Tarts were available.
One of my favourite Adepticon memories is us sitting down to have breakfast in the morning, and like Terry going, look, there's a waffle thing, they make you fresh waffles. And Terry goes and gets his fresh waffles, and he's got it there in front of him, and there's a massive dollop of what Terry assumed was ice cream. And he just went, and it was just
butter.
Salted butter. It was like
pure salted butter.
And that deep dish pizza where you put, it was like bigger than you. It was like, it was graphic.
Didn't someone manage 2 slices?
But me and Russ did 2.5 each, didn't we? We were done.
I did one, and like, if you've never been to Adepticon, you need to go and try the Chicago 10 deep dish pizza.
You can see that on the screen now. Amazing. Terry's head next to it. But the Subliminal Eat message.
I've done it once. I don't feel the need to ever do it again.
I managed to put on a couple of kilograms on salad whilst at Adepticon.
Yeah.
That salad they made you that night we had the steak, you took back up to the room and ate for like 2 days. Do you remember? That bowl of salad was so big.
I remember getting one, and then suddenly there's like candied walnuts being sprinkled. And I'm like, this is,
that's where it comes from. They've added sugar to the salad. Oh, what a shock!
Oh, and I'd like a side of pudding as my starter with my corn. Was it cornbread?
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Which was vanilla sponge cake. That was not cornbread. It was actual sponge cake.
Because they were like, "Oh, try this." It's like having a slice of Victoria sponge with your dinner.
Yeah. Cake.
I remember the starter though. It was like, I'll have some chicken wings to start, and like we're used to the UK chicken wings where they're like this big.
4. Like, you get 4 little chicken wings.
That. This was like the arm and half the breast, like this, and there was 12 of them, and you're like, that's not a starter.
I thought that's not a starter. Didn't Brian get the tray of wings? There was like 18.
I got a tray of wings, and I was like,
one person.
Yeah, and I was like, I got chicken wings.
Became communal because everyone got too much stuff. Yeah. And then some people tried to see if they could manage pudding, and then they were told how big the pudding was.
I was just trying to find anything that didn't have sugar in it.
So I had that, like the brisket thing, didn't I? With the mashed potato
that was
with
awesome.
The crispy onions. There was so much mashed potato there, you could portion it out into like 8 bits, and there was still enough for 12 people. It was ridiculous.
Can't remember any of this at all.
We're in a sports bar. Do you remember the sports bar?
Was it called Wildwood or something? Westwood?
Something like that. Yeah, it was quite late.
I drank a bottle of whiskey at that point though.
I drank a bottle of rum with Brad. We'd smashed a bottle. Like I remember having to like take you to a side several times during our doubles experience. I was just trying to think, like there's a lot of times I've been a doubles partner with all of you at different points, and every time there's been lots of alcohol involved. So I kind of start to think maybe I'm an enabler.
Because I had to go throw it in that game because
you had to have a timeout. I remember that game
maybe
when
it's your dad or a Russ.
Maybe
just like, I'm gonna misbehave. That's it.
Yeah, and it's like we're gonna drink, and then I remember that one we did at Warhammer World, Byron, me and you, and that was
Byron Ice.
That was amazing. Like I remember you going into like the the bar and just get up to the bartender and be like, I want the sort of the most poofiest, fruitiest thing you can make with what you've got in Warhammer World, which is basically ale and, and like chips.
I can put some blackcurrant. Put some blackcurrant in that for you.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, guys, as well. Like, I mean, I'm sure people are really digging the Age of Sigmar content at the moment, but like our Saturday night or Friday night Blood and Glory Chiquitos parties.
Oh yeah, legendary.
Yeah,
that's the best thing. That was like, so I loved the old venue, but then moved to the new venue and Chiquitos and Dark and Stormy.
There's me getting drunk and dancing to myself, and
you were just like
no
in
music.
there's like an area which is basically like a cordoned off area where they didn't have tables. There's all the chairs on the tables, and there was like a bar there, but they weren't really served in there. They were just doing it to the tables. And there was music playing, and like we were like, "Where's Les?" And we looked over, and you're just on your own in the darkened bit of the room, dancing to like, and like, we're like, "What's going on?" Like,
he's not causing any trouble. We'll just leave him there.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's fine. He's harmless. So, but I think like we had. I remember the one we went to. We had like the Breakspear and all that. Like we have like 3 tables or
that
something.
Was the one.
And then it was the same one. Yeah.
Because Breakspear was sat next to me.
Everyone ended up like back to back to each other because we couldn't all be fitted in.
Yeah, because we were on a table. I think I've got some pictures in the reel where it's like me, you, Sam Davis, Dan Mitchell.
The very next day, I was on table 1 versus Darren Watson with the TM against Croaknado, and there's like this, and Martin's commentating, and there's a whole point of like on the Warhammer TV stream where Darren's gone and got me like so much water because I'm so hungover, and I just lie on the table in like during the Warhammer TV stream. And Darren's like, "Yes, get up, mate." Get up.
I still think the best Blood and Glory story on that is like Byron missed his game.
Oh yeah,
because he was occupied, and then he turned up and won all of his games and could have won the event. But it's like because he was.
I got. We had a super tight game where I got fairly lucky. I got a minor, and if I got a major, I would have come second.
Yeah,
I think, or first.
Because we played in the last round, didn't we, or the round before the last? I can't remember. Because was it the first game on the Sunday you missed?
Yeah,
no, it was the first game on Saturday.
First game on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just started strong. I've done that. I think I might have done that twice with grudges. I've had grudges each of the times. Whoopsie.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember the Sheffield where I borrowed like Kieran's Iron Jaws and I got absolutely hammered playing Matt Leon's. Before the bar opened,
great games,
and we just got absolutely smashed. And I ended up playing Les and upsetting him, getting sober, and then after to play Alex. It was like cheaty shooty Stormcast.
I was a prick.
You are a prick.
Ask Chris Tomlin. Chris Tomlin was like, "You two are playing a game of Warhammer that only friends can play because you're like throwing dice at me and calling me a prick."
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
I remember you being super unreasonable. I don't know why.
I drank at that event as well.
Yeah, you did too much.
I drank way too much.
That was the incident.
That was when
that shall not be named.
Luke McHugh took you to one side, and when Luke and Tomlin are telling you you've had too much to drink.
No, it was Luke trying to take stuff off my phone. When Tomlin is trying to calm you down and tell you you've had too much to drink, you know it's for real.
Yeah,
and that wasn't the only time that happened either. Because that
one.
happened at the doubles event that I got drunk out with Russ, and Tomlin was like, "You're really drunk." I was like, "Nah, I'm not."
Yeah.
Oh, you almost dropped your Great and Clean one on the floor.
Yeah, I did.
And you were like leaning against the wall, and I had to go to the toilet, and I was like, "Don't you fucking do anything. You don't play the game. You wait till I come back." And both the parents were like, "Oh, quick, we can abuse."
Yeah, they tried to talk me into playing the turnout while you're in the toilet.
Oh, bad.
That was the night when Dan and Byron went to get pizzas, and you got me the hottest pizza you could.
Well, you asked for the hottest one, and you goes, "I can't feel my mouth."
No, I couldn't taste it because I had the flu, didn't I? I was sat there so disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
That I couldn't taste the pizza.
Where did you stay with that? Because I think that was the night we all went to. Yeah, because you went to Swindon, and then I had people at mine, and we went to.
I went to bed about 8:30, didn't I? And I slept right through till 8:30. I slept 12 hours, and I woke up feeling great.
You were in my hobby room where I am now. You're on that couch behind me, which is a pull-out bed, and me and Byron and Dan were on the sofa in the next room, and like you just you just fell into bed and we were I think we were writing like Orc Wyvern lists.
You were writing Orc Wyvern lists because I could hear Byron talking about running 4 Wyvern bosses.
I love how wanky Byron's lists are. Like they're always like random. It's like, let's take the weirdest reward. Let's take Gorgons and do as many of them as I can.
Cockatrice. It's Cockatrice time. Yeah. But I think like we've played like we were doing like 20 events a year, weren't we? And we've obviously like recorded our experiences and what we've been up to, and I think there
was a year in 8th. I did 27 events in 1 year.
Was that when you were number 1 in the UK for like forever?
For 5 years, yeah. Consistent 5 years. Just put that out there, number 1. But it would have been longer, but Curry decided to not update the rankings on purpose because he knew I would have been bumped into number 1 from an event that I'd won. And he held on to the results just to annoy me because he knew I wanted those results going in. Yeah. He told me that about 6-7 months afterwards. I was like, I knew you were doing it. Don't worry. I knew what you're up to. Yeah. But yeah, I played a lot of events in 8th edition.
I can remember at Sheffield that year when you played Curry and like you literally just argued for 4 hours.
It was a 4-hour game because it was the last game, wasn't it? We went and got dinner and then came back and carried on playing.
I was playing Wildman. I think you were playing Johnson, weren't you? And then
that's when I went. I scalped Darren Palmer when he was a powerhouse, Maudsley and Johnson, and then like choked at Luke McHugh and finished like 4th.
I had this the game against Mark Wildman, and I put my Blood Warriors into the. Do you know that? Was it the Sisters of Thorn where you hurt yourself or whatever?
The bank.
And like I rolled the attacks, and I went. I hurt myself. I kill myself. Oh, I pile in an attack. Then I kill another model. That then piles in an attack, and basically the unit imploded. So I had like 10 Blood Warriors just died to themselves attacking. And I was like, "You don't have to attack." I said, "Yeah, but it's fun, right? This is hilarious."
Yeah, optional at the start of AOS, wasn't it? You could opt to not attack things.
So I think that was actually as well the last time I beat Maudsley at an event. God, I've beaten him on Friday night consistently, and then he goes and wins the event. If I play him on a Friday, he wins the event, and I beat him, and then he wins.
Him in AOS.
I beat played him twice, I think. One was to win Blood and Glory, one was to lose Blood and Glory. So
we don't talk about that.
No, it's fine. I could talk about the game that I beat him every day of the week if you want. That's fine.
You saying about that Wildman game, I played him round 5 on the Sunday, and he cast that Thorn spell, and I dispelled it with the Lord of Change. So obviously you steal the spell. And then I put it on 6 plague drones and rammed them into his army, and he basically couldn't attack me because he would have just killed himself. he was not salty about that at all.
Amazing.
I think out of all of you, I think I've played Russ the most at events. I've played Terry. I've never lost to you.
We played twice. Once at the Masters when you had a 3,000 point Stormcast army
against
my 2,000 point Chaos army. Do you remember? 5 skull cannons. It was the dream. And then we played when I used 90 Bloodletters at Cardiff, and you freaking speared my banner guy off with a 1-up save. 1-up save. I rolled like 4 ones.
That was it. Then just
you and your reroll Luckstone dude.
No, I don't think. No,
this was just.
I dropped the javelin
prosecutors with javelins.
Javelin prosecutors from the sky. They're all damaged too, and he rolled all the ones, and I just rolled
4 ones, and he died in a 1-up save cover.
And I was like, amazing! 2 fulminators into each tag unit of like,
and then everything
and then just started just
died.
Yeah,
fucking brilliant.
Played for.
I don't know if we played any other times than that.
That's it. I've only played twice.
I think if you and I played twice as well. Once with my order against your
once against
again.
Oh, you mean
we played at X, didn't we?
Yeah.
We played at X the 1 year, didn't we? And then I think we played when I was spare player something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Terry and I have played because we played at
the first Cardiff event or second Cardiff event because I had the Bloodletters. Because I played Les, then I played you.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I played you, then I played Les, and you had all those wizards that all did D6 mortal wounds, and you just rolled like 8 6s and just killed my whole army.
That was a good example of knowing the only way that I could possibly win that needed quite a bit of luck, and then getting quite a bit of luck.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do D6 wounds, 6. I'm going to do D6 wounds, 6. And that happened like 7-8 times in a row. And I was like, well, I've got nothing left.
Warlock spell, and then I chose my Empire Wizard to be a fire wizard. And then there was
breath attack from the dragons.
That was it, yeah, there was 3. And I was like, well, this might go okay, actually. And I tried out taking a load of minus to hit once per game items and just put everything into turn 1.
And nothing could hit you. It was ridiculous. But I did get my own back though at the Masters because the same happened back to you, didn't it?
Oh, that was a ridiculous game because I think we both played fairly solidly, and I had
everything that I needed.
I had the upper hand, and then you made like a disgusting comeback, filthy, horrific.
I need an 11 to charge here, and I need to hit and wound with everything and roll max damage on every hit.
Yeah, you needed to roll 9 wounds out of 3d3, and they all needed to get through, and I needed to fail all the saves, and all of those happened. And we were like, I think you're going to win this.
One Blight King killed 10 skinks. He rolled 3 6s to hit, didn't he? And scored 18 hits with his 3 attacks.
Could have killed 20, yeah.
Just nailed the whole unit on his own.
I've remembered the third time we played Byron as well, when I had a trap nerve at the GT final and I dropped out after we played because I had a trap nerve in my back and I just it was just filth. I just went, you shoot off all the heroes, and if you don't, I kill your entire army. Yeah, but if you do,
you basically decided that if I don't, then you win, and if I do, then I win. Yeah,
and then you beat me, and I was like, I can't cope anymore. I had like a trap nerve in my back at that point, didn't I? And I'd gone home. I'd already lost to Laurie at that point, and it was just like,
well, you might as well have gone home after that, really, didn't you?
Yeah.
But I remember that I think I was borrowing your Stormcast and Terry was borrowing my Khorne, and I played Terry with your Stormcast. He was using my Khorne against me, and I had the Star Drake, and he kept retreating out of combat. I was like, "Stop retreating! Hit it!"
Well, you needed that charge.
At the Tomlin event?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
you needed that big Star Drake charge, and you rolled a 1 next to mystical terrain, and you got stupidity, and then you put 2 fulminators into 3 skull reapers.
Yeah,
and I had to do the 6s mortals to hit and wound, didn't I? And I killed the unit to exactly 12 wounds with like 3 dudes because I had the +1 to hit from Saul because he was within 6 inches of the unit at the time to give you that buff. So they were doing mortals on like 4s or 5s or something. Yeah, and those 3 dudes. And you killed one of them, and he exploded back into 3 mortal wounds. Yeah. And everything that could have happened in that last turn was just perfect.
It was ridiculous, that game, but it was.
You're just really unlucky with that list, aren't you? The TM list, because me and you played in the mirror, and I beat you in the mirror as well, didn't I?
Yeah, I think that was. I just didn't play it very well, but I think that was.
I think I think I was a better game that day. I think I was just.
Well, I think you're playing an army that you've used loads, and I borrowed it and played 1 round, and I played Speckles, and first round it's like, right, it's duality. I've got a Star Drake. It's pretty much unkillable. He's got Crypt Flayers and an Arcan. He double turned me to get within range to Curse of the Years off the Star Drake, and then he charged 3 flares into my 2-up save Venator in terrain on the other objective and just popped like 5 6s and killed him with mortal wounds. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Then I ended up playing you, and I was like, okay, it's the mirror. We'll see how it goes. And then it just didn't work out for me. And I was just like, no, this. And I don't think, obviously, I've taken. I've never played before that event, so it was like, But I mean, I've done pretty well. I mean, I borrowed yours and took Warrior Brotherhood to an event, and I won that with Stormcast. And that was, I played Martin Morin in that. And
was that Cardiff? Because I didn't go, did I?
Yeah, it was Cardiff. Yeah. So I remember, like me and Byron have played quite a bit. I think over the year. I mean, we played at the Masters, didn't we? I think first round. I think.
Yeah.
And then
it was stupid. The bouncy one.
Yeah, that one. The relocation orb. Yeah. Which has always been good for me. I remember that Six Nations, where I took 18 Spirit Hosts and Arcan and just played relocation orb 4 times, and just was like, this is fine. Ended up playing against like Stormcast and stuff like that, and I was just like, they're loving it. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of. You think back, actually, we've had a lot of games under our belts and at tournament level and with our stuff and.
Well, it's when you look at it, I'm quite OCD about like how many games that I've played with like each of my armies, and like I've done. I might get the numbers wrong, but because I haven't got my book to hand, but it's 98 games with Sylvaneth in the old book. I'm nearly 180 games with Stormcasts. I'm 52 with Fire Slayers, and I'm 111 with Deepkin. Wow. So you'd think I'd be better at gaming.
I was going to say, your win-loss ratio is pretty shit for that number of games, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
I always say that my thing was I needed to get to, because I just didn't play outside of events, I needed to get to whatever the normal amount of games was for people to understand it. For me to understand it, it took me a while to arrive. I was a bit late to the party. So at the point at which I'd played like 60 games and everyone else had done 200, I was like, oh, it makes a bit more sense. Figured everything out, and then they dropped in 12 more scenarios, and that's more than my little brain can handle. And that was, that was literally like one of the reasons I won so much in that time period, is because I'm really good at learning something very, very, very slowly. But once I've got it, I can master it. And there are only 6, so I could deal with that. And then the moment more came, that was it.
It was like,
yeah, it was
like, wow.
Got
Mate,
so much
same as me
harder.
though, right? You have to, like, for me, I'm not a natural gamer. Like, I look at people like Jack and Tom and Russ and Johnson. Like, you pick up a book and you can read it and understand how it works. I can pick up a book and sort of like read it and go, right, this works this way. But for me to be able to translate the power in the book or the way that the rules work into me winning a game, I need to play it enough so that I kind of like intuitively know. So like, I know that if I put this into that, on average, I beat it. So then I can focus. I need to know all of the rules perfectly inside out, all of the measurements, all of everything that I need to know, so that I can then play the game, as opposed to think about what I'm doing and playing the game. I need to have like almost forget about my army because I'm there, and then play the game, as opposed to doing it the other way around. Whereas I think like Maudsley, you could give Maudsley or Russ like the most powerful list in Age of Sigmar, and they'd go and podium at an event like without playing any games with it.
Yeah, it took me a while to there's so many different ways to play Age of Sigmar as well, in comparison to 8, that everyone could take different amounts of time to find their style. So Russ settled on like waves of stuff. That makes sense to you, right, Russ? Yeah, different waves, and like this turn. You arrived at that well early, way ahead of anyone else, which is when you had your ridiculous like 2-year streak or whatever.
I like to call it as the onion method. I think I went to 18 events and I podiumed at every single one in the first in that first period. And basically the way it worked was you had screens and you had lines behind it and follow-ups, and it worked about they charge your screen, you counter-charge, they counter-charge your counter-charge, then you mop it up. And it was that.
Playing around the potential double turn rather than gunning over it.
Yeah. I can remember having that conversation with you, like with us on Skype and stuff, and you were just like, people just don't get their head around the double turn. Like they just can't sit. Everyone pushes everything into the centre of the table.
They're in that automatic pilot from the old edition, set on the 12-inch line. I go first. I move it max distance into the middle of the table. I've lost.
Yeah.
Which ironically became a strategy for winning. I remember sending a picture of that army list to our group and to Tomlin and to a couple of other people with like the dragon and 2 phoenixes and some dudes on horses, with whatever type of dudes they were. It doesn't matter. They're on 4 legs.
They could be anything, couldn't they? Because they're on wolves. They could be anything.
As long as it's not chaos, be fine. And sending that list.
Could be chaos elves.
Gary and Tomlin, because I was taking it because I wanted to have a chance at painting, and I thought the models were pretty. And Gary and Tomlin and you guys were all like, sorry, or like, lol. And I would like, I didn't think I'd cracked anything at that point. And I turned up and I had my first game against like one of the My Hills with a weird KO Sylvaneth zip line.
That'll be Chris, I would imagine, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I think it might, but it was Rick actually. I think like some weird. It was a weird ass list. Anyway, I played that, and he got a double 1 charge, and I had my 10 high elf spearmen with their re-rolling 1s and 2s 5 up save, just as units like that can do against shooting. They rolled a bit over the odds, and then I was like, oh, this, there might be something here, and then it kind of did some stuff, and I think I got like a minor victory or something like that. I had a game with Laurie where he was a gent, and after rolling 18 4+s on his stumps with his tree men to minus my hits, he encouraged me to not quit the game. I ended up getting like a draw or something, and then I came fourth, and no one was more confused than I was at that point. There might be something here. I just thought about it a lot and came back the next time and won, and then thought about it more and came back the next time and won. And I wasn't practicing at all. I was just thinking really hard about the scenarios, basically, and that was when I had my hectic streak.
Yeah, because you won the final twice.
Oh yeah, final, and then the following heat, and there was 2 more events as well around that time. And then the person to end my winning streak, I think it was Ricky with like old school Stormcast. And he pantsed me absolutely. It was like the most thoroughly I hadn't lost in 25 games at events or something like that. And then he played really, really well and got good dice, apologized lots, and just ruined my entire army. I was like, well, that's what it feels like. I remember this. Yeah.
I still remember.
So
that.
I'm the only.
Go on.
I could say I'm the only one who's not won a tournament at Facehammer. I've podiumed, but I've not won an actual tournament.
I've got
Like,
Yeah, you won the ETC. What are you on about?
Yeah,
you mean singles?
Singles. I've won like. Yeah,
I'm
the only one
who's carried for a few team events.
Oh.
Carried.
He didn't get carried for the ETC. It's fine. But
I did. I had Maudsley on one shoulder and Jack on the other, and just going like.
Yeah, but I'm not allowed to say it because you get upset. So it's all right if you say it. If I said you were like they each had a hand behind you, like up here.
Jack. Yeah,
you were like their glove puppet.
Oh mate,
I'm kidding. But I think we've all had like varying degrees of success in like different events and with different lists. I mean, like Byron, it was good to see. Like, because I remember originally in the team events, we used to affectionately call you the cum dumpster, which were you were the guy we chucked in the middle of the floor to distract everyone while we got the points.
Basically, flailing around inevitably.
Yeah. And then it ended up being like you ended up being the first GT champion in 2017 when they brought that back, and just with that weird bin bag army of order,
just random.
So much has changed as well.
Yeah. And it's been really good, and obviously, as the Facehammer guys, we've had as a group, we've been involved with things like the 24-hour live stream for AOS 2 launch, the Soul Wars launch, and obviously that was at Warhammer Fest because it got cancelled and removed, and that's when Terry, you picked up your Golden Demon, didn't you, on that weekend? So obviously you sort of took a slightly different direction from 8th edition, where you're all about the gaming. I remember we used to talk a lot about competitive gaming, sort of coaching you in the car while you drove me around. And it was always that awkward moment getting back in the car when I got the trophy and you were 4th. And then you ended up
Yeah, but it happened so much.
I know.
Early 8th edition,
Yeah.
I just kept coming 4th. And it became like the bridesmaid thing, wasn't it? I was just 4th all the time.
So I remember coming out that Blood and Glory, and I was like this with trophies, and you were there like... Oh, you can walk home.
Mate, I was the same in Sigmar though. Like I was always 4th in Sigmar, like forever 4th until I got the podium with the bronze one. Didn't I? It's where is it? Warlords, wasn't it? The one year.
Yeah, and
crazy.
It's one thing I haven't actually won is one of the GW events. I've podiumed, but I've not actually won one.
Yeah, I podiumed at one as well, haven't I? Come third with the Nurgle.
But it's kind of like a bit random because you're on.
Do you second with the Star Drake list as well, or did you not?
I come third because
Terry.
Right, Terry probably. I don't know.
No, I was on for a second, wasn't I, in the last game or something, and I cocked something up and ended up coming. No, I can't remember.
It was the Scottish guy that comes second with the list,
with the similar list, because we were both playing this basically. No, it was the same list, wasn't it? It was like a magic item difference or something, one artifact or something.
Yeah,
no, I can't remember who I played in the last round there actually, but I was definitely on for a second because you were like, "Oh, you can borrow my list for the weekend." I was like, "Oh, cool," and then I almost podiumed with it on my first outing.
I was commentating. I can remember Martin taking the mick at me, going like, "Oh, he's gonna finish you and your list." Yeah. I was like,
I think it's funny because it would have been like I've won an event with your army, And like Terry would have won an event with your army, and you haven't won an event with your army. It'd have been really funny.
Cheers.
Sorry, just we'll get that in. Just
I don't turn this off.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, obviously, we could talk for. We have spoken for literally hours about.
You can see the light drain from the window again, like the other show.
Well, it still looks bright behind me here.
But I think, you know, just it's been sort of a bit of an era, and it's kind of like moving on, where things won't quite be the same again, but they will kind of continue, and I'm sure that we'll still be.
So tell us about what you're going to do with Facehammer then, like going forward, because obviously, like me and Terry are out. It's just going to be you and Byron, and like, what's your plans so that we can? Like, what's going to be the new era, like Facehammer 2.0?
Well, I think like obviously we've been starting doing some YouTube content, and we've obviously been doing podcasting for a long time, so I will continue to do that. So there are a few ideas that I've got, and obviously I've done some stuff with the Realmhammer guys, Realm Rift guys, I should say, so the Realmhammer paint battle, and so yeah, there will still be content. I will do some video content on YouTube, probably some instructional stuff. I'm quite tempted to sort of, because I've always been a match play podcast really, or like competitive gaming podcast, although we are hobbyists as well. So there'll be some announcement about what I'm going to do, because basically I left my job last June, so it'll be, you know, it's quite a long time ago, and I've been doing some bits and bobs on the side to try and like just make a bit of money and stay afloat really. But what I'm going to do is try and make, as long as people want the content, I'll try and dedicate more time into producing content, which will allow me to sort of move it forward in a sort of more of a sort of business, but also like providing a lot more regular content to a schedule, some live stream stuff, some like Patreon exclusive videos, stuff like that. So there'll be some stuff coming. Obviously Byron will still be around for dumping in his thought processes on the show and stuff, and I'm sure that if there's Facehammer GT, I still want to run that. So I've just got to try and coax Terry onto an admin desk for a weekend.
I kind of want to play now, though.
I need someone to do spreadsheets.
I think someone needs to knock Shirley off as well for painting. So I think I need to do something special.
So good at that admin role, like you're.
Yeah,
like,
I know, but
literally you run it like so. All joking aside, with the Facehammer GT, it's like we all do a different thing, but like Facehammer GT wouldn't run if it wasn't for the amount of work that you put in behind that desk all the time. So
yeah,
I think
you know,
being able to fill that spot is going to be
do
tough.
a spreadsheet and, you know, get the rounds
it's not just that,
right.
It's
not something I'm
most of the time.
I mean,
accidentally not include sports scores. One time.
It's fine. One time.
One time. It got fixed straight away, but it looked a bit silly when we were like, this person's... No, wait, hang on. They are. Give me a sec. Let me redo these points.
But I will, when I've collected like sort of what I'm going to do, and I'll do a show, and I'll sort of talk more in detail about that sort of stuff. But don't worry, there'll still be content. I'll still be releasing book reviews.
I'm going to start releasing
Army-list reviews. No.
500 books
a year. I want to do a Sunesh list show and a Daughters of Cain list show follow up from our sort of show went up at the weekend. Been looking at doing some live streaming ideas as well. And obviously like I've been commission painting. So I'll be doing like direct commissions as well as work for Siege. But yeah, there's some other, because although Siege does a certain style and my style's a bit more, a bit different, and I kind of like to do that as well. So I quite like to do some more sort of army level, sort of tournament level.
So if someone
painting.
Wanted to get in touch with you about commissions, how would they go about it? What would they do?
Well, at the moment, just contact the.
This isn't scripted either. No. I'm just asking.
Well, I haven't got it set up yet, so there will be an email address and there'll be a page on the website. It's not there yet, but if you want to get in contact with me, you can get me on Twitter at Russ_Ville, or you can contact at Facehammer_, because obviously I've got access to that, and just contact me on there. But yeah, so the idea is that coming into sort of like April-ish onwards, there'll be a sort of a relaunch and stuff like doing, and I'm planning to sort of release a schedule of commitment of content, and but basically the commitment is that every time there's a book, I want to do a review show, and I've got some ideas around that, and basically we just want to keep the content, but it takes an awful lot of time, and particularly with Like Les has been doing loads of the editing for the videos and helping with that content, and with you stepping away. And back in the past, Terry's been instrumental on sort of the technical side with the hosting and doing the RSS feed and things like that. And
I've not been mentioned here because I'm an idiot.
No, and but you're still around. But Byron does a lot
commentary
of work behind the scenes with Element and things like getting new merchandise and like with the content ideas and help with the even just advice more than anything else. So the idea is that obviously with what I wasn't trying to say that Byron doesn't do anything. I was trying to say that because obviously Byron's still here, but Les and Terry moving away means there's an awful lot more work that I need to take on, which is going to be quite difficult, particularly if I want to continue with the YouTube content, which I do, because obviously that's going to take up an awful lot of time, and being self-employed, I just need to make sure that I can cover my outgoings and continue to produce that content. So I'm going to have to monetize in certain ways, but it will be optional stuff that people can buy into, basically. And one of the things I'm quite keen to do is coaching. So from a gaming point of view, like army list advice and competitive play coaching.
Everyone's going to be teaching.
And I feel like obviously I've been around long enough and been successful enough to be able to talk with authority on the subject. So I'd quite like to launch something on that. And I've already got an idea for the name, which would be the Facehammer Academy. And that will be launched soon. So watch this space. And the idea is just to try and help people improve their game and their play and win in the right way. And also try and
for their stuff to become content as well, right? That'd be cool.
Yeah, and it'll help drive content. And one thing I've talked about as well is, from a commission point of view, is almost like concept to table. So the idea is we talk about what you want to play, what event you go into, or what the context is for your army, design the army, design the colour scheme, and then paint it for you. Or, whether you want to do that yourself or you want us to commission it, then
still super education,
it's
isn't it?
stuff like that. So watch this space. There'll be some ideas coming soon and a bit more structured. But if you're interested, get in contact and then we can have a conversation. So watch this space.
Yeah, let us know if there's any suggestions as well, stuff that you like that we do that you'd like us to do more, or like taking a theme, like take that book and make a free list out of it. One aggressive, one defensive, one, whatever it is, we're always super open to people's suggestions. It's where a lot of stuff that we cover comes from.
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks very much for the years, and I'm sure we'll still be friends and still talk to each other. So it's not like it's over, but
it's like a horrible breakup online.
No, exactly.
I essentially all that's going to be is that I'll still be at the events with these guys. I just won't be on the podcast going forward. And when events happen, I just want to say a massive thanks for to the three of you, because my painting wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for the three of you. My gaming wouldn't be where it is, and it's and thanks to the listeners. You've all been really supportive over the years, and it's been a ride really to be able. I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now to be able to, I think, apply for a job, a workshop, and be able to be part of the playtest team if it wasn't for this podcast, essentially, I think, and you guys as friends. So just want to say a massive thanks to the listeners. And, it's I feel like bowing out on 100 seems quite a nice one to go out on. And just wish Russ and Byron and you all the luck going forward with Facehammer, and Terry all the luck with Siege and stuff. So I think
wish you all the luck with your new career. So
yeah.
I want to see you. See you in that heavy metal painting studio eventually. Doing the.
I'm really excited. About all of the opportunities in front of me, and being part of something a lot bigger than myself. And just seeing what happens.
White Dwarf again in a very different way. That's pretty exciting. I'm stoked to see that.
Well, maybe they'll get a good picture of you for White Dwarf though. Because we all remember this, don't we? Let me just get White Dwarf out. Hang on.
Oh, no. Is there,
I've seen your picture though, Terry. Yours is awful as well.
Don't know.
No. This picture of me here.
Oh yeah.
Where they crop the image by stretching, just literally shrinking it inwards, so my face looks really long.
I
sent them a perfect square profile picture, which they asked for on a white background, and then they just squished it in. They didn't even crop it in. They just compressed it in, so I've got a long, thin head.
They were just like,
information.
how do we make this guy look
lean,
presentable to be in this magazine? And it was like Photoshop to the rescue.
Really weird. Like my head just looks completely out of proportion. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Everyone I've shown that magazine, they've gone, "What have they done to your head?"
Amazing.
Sorry about the light change. My light was flickering.
That's
good.
Cool.
Yeah, well,
yeah. Obviously, with me, I was going to say with me going as well. Obviously, same with Les. Really, there's no point in saying everything over again because it's the same feeling, isn't it? Like, just it has been awesome. We've had some ridiculous adventures in places.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be about anyway. I mean, I'm sure when there's a Nurgle show or something in the future, if I ever get a bloody book, then I'll probably guest on and do that or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still going to be about. It's just I've just got a lot of painting to do.
And if people want to get taught by you, Terry, how do they do that?
Just go onto the Siege website and do all the contact form and stuff on there. You can either do it through the Patreon that they've got set up, where you get monthly hours which you schedule every month for sessions, or if you want full one, I've done a lot of one-off full day 1-to-1 sessions with people and taught airbrushing, glazing, blending, weathering, like anything, like from very basics to how to properly build and base coat a model, right up to glazing faces and doing art, all the small eyes and technical things as well. But you just get in contact there, and then obviously just ask for lessons through there.
Ask for Mr. Pike.
Yeah, obviously it's all online at the moment as well, so it's all done through video and stuff. So it'll be much better once we're allowed out to play again, because I'll be able to teach in person again, which is awesome. I love doing it. So
I always enjoyed it.
And then I'll be doing teaching and stuff probably at tournaments on Fridays again. That was one of the things I liked doing, especially up at Facehammer, was doing like on the Friday before I had to get strapped to the admin desk for 2 days, was just getting that little bit of freedom and teaching. I think I taught Joe Purcell a bit of airbrushing at one of them, and it was just like that's pretty cool. So if that's something you're interested in, then I can definitely help out and share all this knowledge that I've accumulated.
I'll be making sure that in some way, shape or form, when the world comes back into place, there's a way for a load of people to come to Element and get tuition from multiple different people. Probably not one-on-one, but I think that'd be I think
group stuff works better. One-on-one online is amazing. I think when you do group stuff, when there's like 10 to 16 of you, you get your one-on-one time, but you also, while you're doing your thing, that one-on-one time's happening for someone else. So that tutor or whatever for the lesson goes round and gives you all that little bit of personal time. But and when there's more people, more questions get asked as well, which I think is really good, because obviously 1-to-1, it's only you thinking about the questions. When there's 16 of you in a lesson, someone might ask something, you go, "Oh God, I didn't even think of that. That's a good question."
Point, yeah.
So the group ones, I mean, I did the Soper one. You boys did it as well.
Yeah.
The previous year, didn't you? That was the best painting experience lessons I've ever had, because he is a wizard when he talks about stuff.
It was that presentation he did that was like
the presentation
amazing.
Was probably the best bit for me. I sat there with my notebook, just writing everything down, going,
I've been so fascinated
this is all
as a great adult in my life.
I thought I knew a lot about the painting side of the hobby. Turns out, once you sit with someone who's won that many Slayer swords and is that good at painting, you don't know anything.
Well, I think
you might know stuff, but you really don't.
The way he presents it's really good as well. It definitely.
I think
really
that's like the fundamental thing to realise, though. Is the same with any self-improvement, if it's painting, gaming, whatever, is that there's always room to improve, and there are people out there that have things that you don't know or you don't do, and it's worth engaging with as many people as possible to and take the bits that work for you or bits that don't, but knowledge is power at the end of the day, and it's
one of the privileges of being in our humble little hobby is you don't get to go to Usain Bolt for a running lesson. You do get to go to David Soper for a painting lesson, or whatever it is. You go to someone for just ask them, reach out on Twitter and be like, "Hey, how do you deploy your Stormcast?" Like Russ, how do you win with Spirit Hosts? Whatever it is.
And I think we were like a microcosm of that kind of growth, whether it was hobby or gaming, amongst the four of us, where because we were spending so much time talking about painting and gaming as a four, all our gaming and painting elevated as a result. And what we would do as well, we would gain knowledge from other people outside of our group and bring it into the group. And we literally would, that kind of like nurturing environment where we've been able to grow all of our skill sets in different areas. And I remember like airbrushing, I got less advice from all of you on airbrushing and, you know, and stuff like that. And I know I've helped with gaming and like me and Terry, when we used to go early days and we used to both play in Demons, we used to talk for like 3-hour card journeys just about the intricacies of 7th edition Demons, you know, and stuff like that. So we've all had our...
And I guess to like a bigger thing, you can do that with the Facehammer Discord now, right? Is in like, you're trying, like with how the Facehammer Discord is, you can have that as like a nurturing environment. There's a lot of people on there that are very skilled in what they do, from from like Russ and Byron and Terry and like, you know, and me on there. Just like ask us a question if you want about about painting or gaming. There's like Mortal on there. You know, you've got people like, you know, Russ Charles, who's like knocking it out the park with his amazing Snake Army, which he's converted. You've got, I
mean, like you've got so many good hobbyists on there, like Martin Orlando. It's so many. I mean, you can't mention everyone, but there's so many names on there that are all very, very good at different things, and it's all about like asking those questions and saying, how do you do this? How do I do that? Where do I get advice on this? And I think that's what we were talking about building before you've obviously like got this opportunity and stepping away. That we were talking about building that kind of community of like expanding what we had as a group and growing that out to a wider audience. And I think that's what we wanted to do in terms of more engagement in the community, in terms of like expanding our knowledge and giving back to people. Like, because I feel like there's a lot that we can offer people in terms of our knowledge and what we do. And I just want to be able to share that with people. And hopefully when events start up again and you know, I'll be able to go to like Adepticon again and we'll better run Facehammer again and we'll be up at Warhammer World and you'll be working. So when you come on your tea break, you can come see us and... and you know
there's loads of places that like I'd still like to go. Like I was talking to Clint about going to CanCon and stuff. Like I'd love to go to Australia and do that.
Yeah,
you know? And you know, get out there and play in the Australian environment and see what that's like. You know,
grudge the coach.
Big spiders out there. Big spiders out there. Not going on that piece of land.
Take you to No Roping instead. No spiders there.
Yeah, we were talking with Chuck recently about Nova. Weren't we, Russ, about having like doing, because my 40th birthday is Nova is just after my 40th birthday, so there was a big conversation about going out and doing that and making a trip about it. So
yeah, you know, I'm 40 next year, and
I've got a while yet.
Terry, not that far though, have you?
4 more years, aren't we? On about?
Okay, forget.
Man, you've had a hard papering.
And Byron's the youngest, aren't you?
You're not liking my new rugged look with my my COVID haircut.
That reminds me of a story of a bed and breakfast in Cardiff and Dan Heelan, but I won't go into that. Where the drunk proprietor was stroking his head, saying he looked nice and rugged, and Dan
Heelan looking rugged.
Yeah, because he had a shaved head. Yeah, she was really drunk.
I love Dan; he's amazing, but rugged is
not the word. No, that's why it was so funny. Me and Wayne,
professional, yes, you know, rugged. No.
Me and Wayne couldn't believe it. It was amazing. But this is some years ago. This is probably about 18 years ago. But it was it was crazy. But well, I'll say good luck to everyone. If you've watched all of this or listened to all of this, kudos to you. Because we've just been talking about ourselves for an awful long time and
that's only been about 2 hours.
Yeah. So thanks again. I'd say, like, you know, obviously it's been great to be part of what we've built, and I think that it's been great for the people that are listening to this who are remembering stuff we've talked about from listening to the shows and have been part of that journey as well. Thanks very much, and it will continue, at least, you know, for myself and Byron. So Facehammer's not ending. Format. It's just going to be a bit different, and hopefully we can still catch up in the future. And like I say, Terry, when and if there's any other Nurgle stuff coming out, we can get you involved so you can tell us all about it. But and hopefully you can do the admin at Facehammer. Just so.
comment below if you want Terry to do the admin at Facehammer.
Maybe Terry will #1 Facehammer with Nurgle. That's some content made for coming out. Isn't it? That'd be sick.
There you go.
Well, I just want someone to take G out, and I think.
Take G out, what, with a sniper?
Disclaimer. Please don't hurt him.
HYG is a legend.
Off the podium, I want someone else to get that win, so I need to put in some effort and try and take him off.
You realise I'm judging it though, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Andy Wardle and G enter a load of stuff, because that would be pretty outstanding.
We can do a tiebreak where we just get an inflatable paddling pool, a load of mayonnaise,
some jelly.
I was thinking like mayonnaise.
No, because Andy Wardle would win because he's like he's small but mighty, isn't he?
I know, so but it'd be amazing. Like wrestle, go. No, that might be the drink talk. Thanks for listening, and thanks guys for everything you've done over the years, and I wish you all the best in the future. So thanks very much.
Yep, you boys as well.
Awesome. Right, catch you guys in a bit. Bye.
All right, see you in a bit.